So.
No, I'm ready. There's no page numbers, so I'll start at one again.
Everybody ready? Okay. Okay, welcome to Thursday, October 21st, scheduled budget workshop for the 2022 budget. If everybody would like to rise and join me at the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Councilwoman Freeman,
Tired but present.
Councilman Purdickone,
Here.
Councilwoman Romeo,
Here.
Councilman Weiner.
Here.
Thank you.
I'll say, of course, right now is our tentative budget. What I want to do is thank all the department heads and continued support of this, and I can't say enough about Diana, her staff, Jason, Maria, thank you. I don't know how they do it. I really don't know how they all do it, but, when you first get the budget together, it's concerning a little bit, to say the least, but we got it there. We worked hard, and we managed to do a lot of good things, and we're going to continue success. We opened the community center a few weeks ago. That's a big plus this year. The tax rate's staying flat. We're investing in public works, police, parks and rec, so we are moving forward really good. And again, I can't thank the staff and everyone, all their hard work. They're very concerning on our budgets. They take it to heart. They know the challenges we have ahead of us. And one thing I'll put a shout out is, a couple of weeks ago, I went to the consortium meeting for our healthcare. I believe this year we're at 5%. People don't realize what a cost savings that is right now, because I think if we're out of the consortium this year, it might be almost close to double digits. So figure twice the increase our healthcare would be if we weren't in the consortium this year. So I think that helps. It's a good bunch of people at those consortiums. So we'll see. We'll see how it continues. But for this year, it's a very good cost savings, I feel, and I'm glad we went that way right now. So with that, Diana, anything you want to say? And
Sorry. Just the budget does maintain the tax rate of $6.42, is the same as last year, and still provides the services that the town residents are accustomed to. The proposed budget is also under the New York State tax cap by about 2%. We're utilizing about 98% of the tax cap. That's about 76% for the tax levy sensitive functions of the government, and about 21.3% for the special assessments.
okay, very good. Any questions for Diana? Anything?
No, thank you.
All good? Okay, Katrina,
Okay.
you're up. You're up. You got good news today, probably within the last couple hours,
Yeah,
right? So
very
that's good.
good.
All right, good.
So can we start with aging? I go by the alphabet, so is that
Yeah,
possible?
sure. It's a few pages back, I believe.
Sorry.
Anyway. All right. It's 39, I believe, isn't it? Yeah, 39. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Start with revenue. So one thing that you'll see, kind kind of the biggest change on our revenue is Program for the Aging. It's down 100%, but that's because it was all moved into the recreation budget under fitness. So historically, this Program for the Aging paid for our group exercise class instructors for 55 plus. But now that we're offering programs for 14 plus for group exercise, we really worked to streamline our budget lines to make sure everybody's getting paid out of the correct line. So that's just a reallocation of funds. It's not actually a reduction of revenue. And then the remaining revenue line from the aging would be our aging league, so our 55 plus leagues, specifically our golf and softball league, and then any enrichment programs above and beyond group exercise that we offer at the community center. Okay, and the next page, the one line that is again down, the contracted services line is down 100%, but that again is to move over to recreation to cover the payouts for instructors out of fitness. So again, it's just some reallocation of funds on there. You'll also see that we did some decreases of mileage and miscellaneous expenses. Again, a reallocation of funds. We're trying to streamline, make sure that we're paying out of the correct lines. This budget, as many of you know, was very line heavy, multiple lines. And so over the past few years, I've really worked to reduce the number of lines and to streamline purchases and processes. So, any other questions on that page?
Any questions on
Out to you.
aging? Anything?
Aging.
Good? Okay.
Trying to look at the next line. Aging is fairly small, so a lot of the reductions, 100%, either were reallocation of funds or it wasn't used over the past year, so we've reduced it and gotten rid of it. For those of you that haven't met, this is Becky. I'm sorry. She does all of the finances. She saves my life over there. So I brought her along in case there were any additional questions above and beyond. So, okay. So if you're ready, we can move to nutrition. We'll do our two easy budgets first, and then we'll go to recreation. Okay. So on the revenue line, there wasn't much change, but just a reminder that Program for Nutrition, that's more of a pass-through. A budget line, so it's contributions for the lunch program through the county. We bring them in, and pretty much it goes right back out to the county. So it's just a pass between. We did increase the sandwich and coffee program slightly because we feel that we'll serve more people at the new community center. So we're going to focus on making some more revenue over there as well. So, and then the last line, that large 76,000 is the county grant that we receive from Monroe County for the lunch program. So on this next line, you'll see that our conferences and training line went up by 200%. Sounds like a lot, but as we looked at our training, we had never really budgeted in the past for our food service training. We had paid for it out of different lines, but all of our nutrition aid, in addition to multiple staff members, are level 1 food service certified, and so we wanted to make sure that we allocated the correct amount of funds for that. So that's why you see that increase. And then the next line, you'll see quite a decrease of about 80%. Typically, that line in the past was used to pay for our water coolers at Pine Grove. Obviously, we don't need those anymore. However, we do need water filters to replace in the bottle filling stations at the community center. So we did leave some funds in there to cover that. Any questions on any of that?
Yeah, I just have one, Katrina. When you say you're increasing the lunch,
Yeah.
right, the lunches, do you turn people back now, or how does that, you're saying,
Turn people away. So
you know what I mean?
Yeah, so
How
what's
would you
unique-
figure on bringing more people in for lunch is what I'm,
yeah, so what's unique about Arundecoit is most other towns just offer the nutrition program through the county, sponsored by the county. Arundecoit has, for many, many years, probably 20 years, offered a sandwich and coffee program that is paid for by the community members. So if they don't like the provided lunch, they can pay. We found in the last few years that was very popular because the lunches from the county, while they're good and they're made by a nutritionist, they kind of become stagnant, right? So we've found some extra interest in that, and especially most recently at the new center, we have seen so many new faces, so many younger seniors, and I think that they will really benefit from that program and want to participate in that program over the county program.
So what do you consider a younger senior?
Well, John,
and I,
that's
John.
a
I
loaded
wouldn't
question.
go there. Mama taught you to be a little smarter than that, right?
It's
Okay.
probably us.
55 to 75. That's the younger
Okay.
senior, right? Our oldest is 101 this
Oh,
year,
there
so
you go.
You're not there yet.
Oh, I guess not. Thank you. Okay. Thank you
yeah,
for
it-
that.
Can I ask a quick
Yeah.
question? So for the senior that wants to participate, what's a typical cost for that lunch?
So for the county lunch,
No,
it's-
for
oh,
the
for the
soup or
soup and
sandwich and coffee thing?
$4. And
$4,
yep,
right.
It provides
So-
a sandwich and a side.
Which is amazing, because there's nowhere you could go
For $4,
for $4. So it really is a great service for seniors who are not cooking at home. It's a very nutritious meal, it's a hot meal, it's right there. And the social that goes with it is priceless. Yeah, thank you.
I was getting phone calls when it was closed for a few weeks that people were like, what am I gonna do now? You know what I mean? So that was a good
Very,
thing.
very
Yeah.
popular. And our drive-through lunch, our grab and goes at Pine Grove that we just suspended maybe last week or the week before were popular all the way up until the end. So it's definitely needed for sure.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay.
All right, it's a pretty simple budget. Okay, so if we move on to the recreation budget. So we can we'll talk revenue first.
Katrina, is that page 37?
You know, mine are numbered differently than yours, so I'm.
It is page 37.
Yeah, in the green book it is.
Okay. I'm page 1, so I'm definitely far off from you. Okay, so if you look at the revenue, the majority of our revenue did increase, obviously, because of the community center. Our services can increase, our offerings. So you'll see first the athletic camp and leagues line. Historically, that was just summer youth athletic camps. But there's definitely been an interest in adult leagues, and so we feel we'd be able to bring in some more revenue, so we've increased that a good chunk, 76% it looks like here. And then a lot of these figures last year were September through December figures, because we were banking on opening in September, and so now this is the first 2 quarters, or 3 quarters, excuse me, of the year in addition to what was already in there. So for instance, you'll see that community center rentals, that jumped up a bunch, but that's for a full year as opposed to just September to December, so. And then you'll see some lines that were already, they were seasonal lines typically, but we've changed the name to be group exercise, adult, and fitness. So obviously, these are areas that we weren't able to offer before. So adult programming would encompass 18 to 54, which is a group that we have never been able to serve, really just based on our facilities. And then obviously group exercise, we didn't really have a robust group exercise program. So all of those revenue sources are now new revenue sources for us.
Katrina, I noticed that on the revenues, the state aid for youth programs
Yep.
went down. Was that just a typical cut by the state?
Unfortunately, every year that I've been here, it's decreased, I would say, almost. I mean, it's kind of flatlined, but it's never, unfortunately, gone up. It's what this county gives us.
Okay.
We didn't get any choice. We fill out paperwork every year, and then they allocate it to everybody, so.
But you're able to make up that difference and it's not affecting the funding for the
Yeah,
young
no,
people?
so that money is put towards our playground program. So
Okay,
the
great.
playground program has remained and continues to remain, and we budget for it every year, staffing and supply-wise, even though the funds that we get don't fully cover it. So we
It's good to
didn't
know
have
the
to cut
services
funds.
haven't decreased.
You got it,
Thank
yep.
you.
How many paid or upgraded memberships do you think you received so far?
So far, we've received 22 fully paid memberships, and that's for the non-insurance based member. So that's for the users that don't have insurance, and that we just started doing maybe a week and a half ago. So we just got the ability to do that, and then senior health insurance wise, it was about 300 last I checked. So, and that keeps rising. And so you'll see that we have group exercise revenue and membership revenue. So what'll happen is when we get reimbursements from the insurance companies, 50% of that revenue will go into group exercise, because probably 90% of them take our group exercise Silver Sneakers classes, and 50% of it will book into membership. So we've kind of split it when that comes in, and we pull reports monthly, and we send them into the insurance companies, and then they cut us a check for the reimbursement.
Katrina, the community center rental, is there interest peaking there? Are you starting to get calls? How's that looking?
We are. There is definitely interest. We have brochures that we've been handing out. We haven't started yet. We told people we'll probably start in November, just once we get our programs up and running. But there's definitely been interest from nonprofit user groups as well as people just wanting to do birthday parties.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I think once it's out there more readily available, I think it'll be very popular. You will see that the rental of real property Parks and Rec office did go down 100%, and just a note that that's Helmer's rent that Helmer Nature Center paid us. So that's kind of a funding source that we will no longer have.
This is a question completely unrelated, and I'm sorry to ask.
No,
it, but
that's
my polling place says it's Pine Grove. Is that,
We were just talking
We were
about
just talking
that.
about that too.
No, so we're trying to find that out.
Yeah.
We are we have polling, we have 6 locations at ICC, but we don't know about Pine Grove. We can't get an answer. You obviously haven't gotten a letter
I
in
have
the mail.
information out to the Board of Elections, but I haven't received a response yet.
We're gonna have to put a big sign out there, cause I don't think there's polling there, Pete, so they're gonna have to just find out where you're going, right?
yeah, I was
But
just
they-
checking the other day, and it
they're
said
going to-
Pine Grove, and I was like,
Yeah.
really?
And we just looked at it too online, but we've gotten no responses from, so it's something Barb and I are
Yeah.
working on. Any questions on the revenue? No? And I think honestly, just to be completely candid, I think next year come budget, we'll have a better, really good understanding of what our revenue is. Obviously, this is based on the financial and feasibility study that Ballard King did, based on kind of our estimations and our experiences, but I really feel like 2023 will bring a good full picture of what the community center can bring in and obviously spend out. So, but I think this captures it pretty well, I'd say. Awesome. Okay, so expenses, again, you're gonna see a lot, or we can go to personnel services actually, but first. So you'll see our full-time regular hours, Parks and Rec, that did jump somewhat, but that's because we are, again, budgeting for a full year at the community center with part-time, year-round part-time staff, some of our new full-time year-round staff that came on at the end of, or the middle of this year, and our part-timers have come on at the end of this year, so that's why there's that increase. Any questions on payroll or anything on that? Okay. Okay, so you'll see throughout this budget as well, there is a lot of kind of reallocating of funds as well as we go through it. So for instance, if you move to our contracted services, athletic camps and leagues, it did go up, but it was just money that we moved from the aging line to put into the recreation line. So a lot of the money is reallocated in addition to some new funds, but most I would say is reallocated funds. One thing to point out is you'll see contracted services McAvoy. So last year it was at 0. However, years past it was not at 0. And the reason that is typically used for our security and parkers at tournaments. And for some reason it was erroneously deleted last year. It was kind of an oversight. We were able to reallocate some funds to be able to cover that, but that's why that seems like quite a jump back up to 10,000, because that's what we need to pay our parkers and security at tournaments at Camp Eastman, McAvoy, and other fields around town. And then, so some of the new lines, they're contracted services, group exercise, adult and fitness training. So the first one, group exercise, we used the majority of the money, so $22,000 of that 47 is used from existing lines. So moving from aging, moving from different lines in recreation, and then the additional funds are new funds that we're requesting to be able to cover our contractors that are offering the group exercise classes. And again, then same thing with adult programming. All of that, majority of that money came from aging as well, and then just a few additional funds to help offset that.
Katrina, by any chance, is there a cheat sheet that shows us what the net difference is from the reallocation of funds?
We could provide something.
That would be helpful, I
Yeah.
think, for folks. Thanks.
Understandable, yeah. We have it, and different forms, but we can probably streamline it into one.
Yeah.
Awesome. Trying to see if there's anything else on, so the big line at the bottom, this leasing of equipment, for the community center, that is obviously the fitness equipment, and we didn't have to pay for it this year. The first payment is in February of this coming year, so, that also covers our blood pressure machine that we have at the community center, that is on lease. Let's see. There's a lot of reductions on the next page. We really did, we really looked at some of our lines and looked at what was historically spent and maybe what wasn't needed. So you'll see there is a lot of, reductions, but it doesn't reduce anywhere near to the amount of, it's not gonna reduce any services. We're just really looking and taking a hard look at what we've actually been using. Any questions on that page, any of the maintenance or postage or printing or any of the Ps? Okay. Okay, so our supplies, you'll see that, we did increase some of our supply lines, just based on the fact that we're offering, 0 to 100 now for ages rather than, preschool and senior. We have a whole group that we weren't offering, so. And then we're finding, for instance, our supplies, food, youth, and family programs, a lot of our family programs that include some type of either consumable food item or a food item used to make a gingerbread house or make something, that is really bringing in a lot of revenue, but the cost of food is going up, unfortunately, so we did increase that line so that we could continue to offer those programs, as they seem to be quite popular. Anything on that page that stuck?
You said 0 to 100, but there was a person who was 101.
That's true, sorry, 0 to, I
So
I
are
should
you-
say, 6 months to 101, because I don't think we have anything younger than 6 months.
Should give her to 105.
Yeah.
That's true.
think that's
Jackie,
fair.
she's pretty feisty.
think
She
that's
will
fair.
definitely be with us for a while.
Then kick her out after 105. You're done. You're too old.
Okay, so let's see if there's any. Okay, so again, on the supply pages here, again, you have your group exercise and adult programs. It's only about $2,000 each, but that is all new money that we're requesting so that we can make sure that we're offering programs for those ages and
What are supplies
Focuses.
for group exercise?
what are supplies for group exercise. So, yoga mats, yoga balls, Pilates rings. So we did get all of that when we originally opened, obviously, but we got kind of a base amount. And so this 2,000 will hopefully help us if we were to grow with the increase of participants. We would be able to purchase additional equipment for them to be able to use. And unfortunately, things break. So like the big, the bands, the resistant bands, they've been known to snap. So we're trying to have a little bit of a safety net there. You will see supplies, safety, group exercise. That was a 0 line, and I'm asking for 5,000 in that. And that's for all the cleaning and sanitation products for the group exercise, or the fitness room, I should say, the group exercise and the cardio room. So currently, right now, we have sanitizing wipes that all the users will use. And then in addition, we have our own cleaning supplies that our fitness staff use throughout the day to clean and sanitize the equipment. So just to make sure, regardless of the COVID situation, whether it's here or not, we are holding sanitation and cleaning to a high level. So we're looking for some funding there.
So is this gonna be the responsibility of the user to clean the machine, right?
So it's a mixture.
Okay.
So the user should be responsible for wiping it usually before they get on and then after they get off. But our fitness staff have a schedule that they go by, and every I don't know if it's every hour or 45 minutes, they do light cleaning, and then they do deep cleaning and all sorts of things. Ryan, our fitness coordinator who came to us from the Y, has a really good approach to this, and he's kind of adopting what he used at the Y to make sure that we're up to the same standard.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I think there isn't much change on any of these other lines, unless there's something that sticks out.
Utilities, but that's not on you, that's where we put you.
That's, unfortunately, I don't determine that one. Any other questions? Anything I missed, Diana? Anything that? No. Like like I said, I really think next year it's going to be a lot easier. This budget definitely took Becky and I a while because we wanted to make sure, you know, one, we were accounting for enough money to provide the services that we should be providing, but also be conscious of the fact that we also can't ask for the world. We need to meet in the middle. And so I think next year it's going to be a lot easier because we'll have solid, concrete proof at the community center of what actually is needed. So, you know, if $5,000 is too much for cleaning and sanitation, we'll know that. You know, a lot of this is based kind of on that middle ground. We kind of met in the middle with a lot of our
Katrina,
lines here.
always, budgeting for something new is always difficult because you don't
Sure
have that
is.
experience, so.
Sure is. But, you know, I really think with the funds that we were given and that this budget reflects, I am very confident that we can offer a lot of programming. Like I said, even in just the few short weeks we've been open, it's been really uplifting, I think, to see the people that have come in, the people we've spoke to, and 99.9% of the people have been super happy, which is wonderful.
That's good.
Yeah.
Right here.
There's two questions.
Yeah.
There's two lines for, the band on here.
For the
Anticipation notes.
Right, so we do currently have the outstanding ban on the new community center. We're in our second year, that will renew again in December, for our third year of the ban. That ban, by law, can go out 5 years. With COVID, they have extended that to 7 years for any projects that are currently banned or will be banned. So we rely on fiscal advisors to help us determine when the best time is to go to the bond market within the time frame.
So each bond anticipation note gets its own line, you don't combine them?
We divide the payments by the department that the purpose of the issuance is for. So the recreation is paying their share of the community center. You'll see it again popping up for a lot for Bob's departments.
Oh, all right, yeah.
So each department it goes in their budget because that's where the
These
cost.
both are for the community center.
Right, one is interest and one is principal.
Okay. Oh, yeah, there's the word I missed, principal and interest.
Yep.
And then, are you planning, what are your intervals for doing like a gut check on revenue and expenses there?
Sure, constantly, I would say. So I think where we're really going to look is monthly, and the reason I say monthly is because our reports are going to go to the insurance company monthly. So we're going to be printing out reports monthly anyways for membership revenue for health insurance. So it makes sense just to look at everything monthly and see, you know, was October a heavy month, was November a low month, or things like that. So it's kind of helps that we have to send these reports monthly, and it forces us to make sure we're staying on top of it.
At one point, we kind of talked about, your reports from the department heads at maybe the workshops, and maybe that'd be something you could just
Yeah.
give us a snapshot on as
Absolutely.
forward.
Yep. We can definitely let you know monthly very easily, actually at any time, but monthly would be great to say how many memberships we have, and then how many new memberships came in this month, and then how many are health insurance and how many are just the average person, I guess I would say.
I also track revenue weekly on other programming as well. So since we're offering expanded programming in general, not just memberships and fitness, you know, not just the membership and fitness aspect of the community center. So that's something that we can include on that snapshot for you as well.
Great.
So maybe to be fair, we could ask you to do that quarterly in a formal report. So
Sure.
there's enough of a body of evidence, so to speak,
Right,
to
yeah, 1
actually
month might
Yeah, I
not
don't
track.
track.
want, I mean, 1 month of January or
Yeah,
what's probably not.
yeah,
gonna
we
be-
can definitely do a quarterly report. We look at it anyways. I actually have a report through our RecTrack registration system emailed to me weekly at the end of every day on Friday to tell me what the revenue is for that week. So it's doable for sure.
I mean, you could do it at a workshop or
Yeah.
something like that, bring it, you know, put it on the agenda for that, that'll be good.
Perfect.
I'll high five
Diana-
when you have 500% of the revenue.
Diana, one question we have on the bands, the principal and interest. Now, these bands, how long are we gonna run on a band? Do you have,
Generally, we've run the full 5 years.
5 years, okay. And then we'll see, when we put, what the bond market interest is, right?
Correct.
What is the interest on these bands right now? You think, you know? off the top?
Don't have that number in front of me.
Okay.
These are estimates
Okay.
for next year, because I said it'll renew in December. So
Yeah,
we don't
right.
have,
Okay.
I believe these estimates were put in at 3%.
3%, okay.
The town has been getting better rates than that.
Right,
On the
okay.
past couple bands.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, anything? Anybody? Parks and Rec, anything? Peter, all good? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Whenever you wanna, we'll break, run up there, grab something to eat. Going soon.
I got it 'cause I signed off on it, but. The real question is after we sign
Very first one,
What?
very first one now, at the beginning.
Parks historian? Cemetery, okay.
Like your bag, Bob.
H2O Hero?
Yeah.
What's first, DPW or?
Parks and Cemetery. Caught it. All right. How much time do I have?
Well, this says 45 minutes. If you finish a little earlier, we can grab something to eat, so put that, think of,
I'll try to.
put that in the
I'll try to
back of your
finish
minds,
early.
okay?
Everybody's looking at me with hungry eyes. Well, good evening, board members. This is the 8th budget that I've been part of here at the town. Each budget is a bit different, and this one wasn't as different as others. It's always nice to think about where we are collectively, looking back upon the year to then move forward into next year. This year has seen great progress in the town. It's seen progress through a lot of the special projects that we've been able to accomplish, from the Arundecoit Bay State Marine Park project early this year, opening right before the boating season, to the other ready projects, German Village Pump Station, Seabreeze Pump Station, Bay Village Pump Station. Bay Village was a $1.1 million project that Aaron oversaw. We've been moved forward with the other ready projects. The German Village, the Bayshore Boulevard Low Pressure Sewer is currently underway, another $1.9 million project. We've just, at the board meeting here on Tuesday, we have charted the course for a master plan for the town hall campus, and really laying the groundwork for the next round of large projects coming off the heels of the completion of the community center. While it's likely could be open as early as tomorrow, we received positive news today with regard to our bacteria issue. We currently can open with free and clear with no issues, no encumbrances. We still have work to do there. We still have to get our fourth and final project amendment and begin to review CAM charges from that location. That project was certainly, it's the third largest project in the town's history, was, in my eyes, the most challenging that I've been a part of, for a multitude of different reasons. But we have new projects on the precipice. You know, we have agreed with RG&E to purchase all of the streetlights in town. We're currently in engineering for that. We likely will own those poles and all of the lights, mast arms on the wooden utility poles as early as January, February of next year. From there, we will be retaining Power and Construction to move through a multi-million-dollar project to upgrade all of those light poles to LED fixtures. We've done that, all of those special projects, and embarked on those while still performing the necessary maintenance and services that the town expects. We've increased services in our solid waste by picking up with two different individuals now instead of one. We've completed 21,000 tons of asphalt this year. That is a record. When we started this 8 years ago, we were at 4,000 tons. This will be the fourth year in a row that we've laid down the most asphalt in Monroe County out of any town. Town of Greece, which is 30,000, 35,000 more residents, we still outperform them. We do that at the same number of staff members. We did a basketball court at Joshua Park. We're starting to lay the groundwork for park upgrades at Rudman Road, and various upgrades at various different parks. We do all of this work because, one, it's necessary, because two, we love it. It's a fun thing to be a part of a great big community and provide necessary services for all of our residents, ourselves included. This budget does not have a lot of bells and whistles to it. It doesn't have a lot of the large-scale flashy, because our ARP plan just provided the large-scale and flashy. Large-scale to us and flashy is sanitary and storm piping underground, which nobody sees or really appreciates, but when it fails, they certainly know who to call. But we also have critical investments in parks within that ARP. So we do have, while this budget doesn't have significant flash to really discuss, we have that coming from another venue. We have that coming from the ARP, and it's a great credit to this board. So with that, I just wanted to kind of lay the groundwork of where we were this year, what we've accomplished this year, and where we're going next year. And with the tentative budget, we get to discuss a little bit of our planning for the cemetery first or parks first. I have parks first in mind. Is
Yeah,
that
parks.
sufficient
Yeah,
with
parks
everybody?
first, yeah.
Sorry, Jason, I'm kind of like taking over. So you can see within the first page in revenue, we have a large value within the sale of equipment. This is for several different pieces of equipment being sold. Jacobson lawnmower, S7, another smaller Wacker Newelson piece of equipment, and a $1,500 trailer. You will likely see a resolution, because I do not believe the purchase of a lawnmower is within this budget. It is not, it was cut. You will likely see a resolution before the board in November to acquire a new lawnmower, which is what is replacing the Jacobson. The Jacobson's a large 84-inch deck, mowing deck, which can run through only two of our parks, while this Exmark double-winged zero-turn lawnmower, if you will, is similar in the width that it can cut, but it goes twice as fast. So we likely will have more efficiencies within utilizing that mower as opposed to the Jacobson, which is used at two parks, Camp Eastman and Joshua Park, where this zero-turn lawnmower is used at multiple different parks, including right-of-way. So you'll likely see that resolution, but as you go through the budget here, you see $71,500 within the sale of equipment. Those are the pieces of equipment being sold, and those are sold at auction to the highest bidder. On page 2 of 8, no significant changes here other than some contracted services, increases on the bottom of 2 of 8 and the top of 3 of 8. These are landscaping dollars. We have recently, I think just today, Aaron? We have submitted back out for bid landscaping at various town parks. Those bidders, we hope, come in competitively. However, our current vendor who did our landscaping this year didn't perform to the level that we expected and that we were looking for. Thus, we will put it back out to bid. They were $10,000 cheaper than the second lowest price, which, we go with a low price, we go with a low quote for a reason. And in this case, we definitely, we got what we paid for, unfortunately speaking. The vendor in question is one we have a long-standing relationship with. They do very good work for us. They're one of our primary tree planting firms that we utilize, both to procure just raw trees and to have them installed by that firm. However, Councilwoman Romeo can certainly speak to this. I know Aaron and you and several others were out there planting by hand ripping out the myrtle that was around that large cul-de-sac and island near the book drop at the library. But it has been a challenge. Landscaping, specifically on this campus, has been a challenge for quite a many years. Thus, you see the grass being planted within the medians as opposed to the myrtle, which, took for some years, but just did not have, it didn't perform to what we were looking for originally, crowding out all of the other weed plants from taking over. But you see these increases within this line in 7142, within 7158 at the boat launch, and there is a third, 7158. Boat launch, yeah. 48. Thank you. So you see some of these increases. That one's actually flat. It was a proposed increase, but we went through and kind of shaved that down in one of the rounds of cuts. So you see some of those increases for landscaping, and that is very much on purpose.
What if the same bidder comes in low again?
We reworded a lot of the bid language, so I feel confident that the issue, just like looked over throughout the summer of what they were supposed to be doing versus what I thought they were supposed to be doing, so I just cleaned a lot of that up.
That was one of the complaints from the second low bidder, who is a long-standing vendor within this town that's done a lot of contract work. I'm aware that the board received a nice note from Jeff. I've also
few.
spoken to him. Yeah, I've spoken to him several times about this. We actually entertained a conversation prior to bidding it to ensure that we were crystal clear on specific duties. Myself and Ann sat down with Jeff to discuss what he did at each park. That did not transfer very well, or he forgot, or we forgot. I don't want to point fingers and place blame, but ultimately what he said he was performing at those parks was relayed in the bid. That wasn't crystal clear. So we retooled that to ensure that the shrubs at Ollie Roth Park and McAvoy Park are going to be trimmed this year, instead of me having to talk to Chief Clark about, how they haven't been trimmed all year, and then we send staff members out to do it when we thought we were doing this on contract work. It's small misses like that, Pete, that make a difference within a bid package. If you've got, 4 man-hours, a month to go and trim the hedges, now the other firm doesn't, and that's why you're $10,000 short. So the dollars that are reflected within the budget were increases, while minor. We were looking to increase all the way up to what the original bid was, the second lowest bidder last year. We did increase those as much as we could to account for some increase. If the low bidder comes in again, and it's more clear now within the bid specs, we would attain the same vendor. It takes a significant, legally speaking, it takes a significant volume of information to disqualify a bidder, or to hold them non-competent or irresponsible. Replay V&B Underground coming before the board for a $800,000 or $700,000 swing on Bayshore Boulevard low-pressure sewer. So, that was dynamic. This at a $30,000 or $40,000 contract would not be as dynamic, but
You think you gotta tighten it up on a quicker, different out, you know what I mean? What was your contract? Was this here on campus?
it was variety.
Variety of places,
Variety of
okay.
places, yeah.
So all of them had issues, I'm assuming, right? So, I mean, okay, in general,
Personally, I was extremely impressed when they came through in May.
Yeah, right.
They cleaned up real
Sure.
nice, everything spruced real nice. And by June, I was like, what's going on? And
Yeah.
by July, I was like, really, what's going on?
no kidding.
And then it just,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
So that contract's up now, or the end of this season?
Yeah, so it was through this year.
Okay,
It was an option to renew.
Okay.
Which then clearly we
All right.
didn't, and we're out to bid again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, that one is, look, there are a few things that when we get complaints on, that, and you're literally, we pay a vendor to do the work so we don't get complaints on it.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the
It's
struggle.
pretty aggravating, okay? It's
But it
definitely
is now an easy fix, really.
Yeah.
It is,
Yep.
you know, we'll see what vendors, you know, we're gonna call and try to drum up other interests, so it's not just two vendors bidding on this.
And you have tighter language, so even if Erin has to go out there with a bigger stick, she's got something to go out there with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you can see on page 4 of 8, and if I'm going too fast, please stop me, but I'll just continue to progress here. You see just on the cursory, a lot of negative percents, that'll be a theme, so you'll continue to see that collectively through all of these budgets. You do see a 37% increase in supplies landscaping, that is to adequately maintain the Aronicoid Bay State Marine Park. All of the wood chips at the new playground, which is heavily used. On 5 of 10, again, that theme of minus 25, minus continues, so.
Bob, as I'm looking at McAvoy here, is it somewhere, this is kind of not related to the budget, but it's still somewhere in your vision that we would tackle the turf at McAvoy?
The turf at McAvoy is an issue. It's been an issue for probably 6 years now. We've maintained it to the best of our abilities. We have a vendor come in, they do their maintenance on it. The expected life of a turf field, let me rephrase it. We are beyond the expected life of the
Way
turf
beyond.
field. If you ride a golf cart out there, it's a wavy, you get that feeling because there are discrepancies within the topography, which, you know, are an issue. We did perform some improvements, last year or 2 years ago. Within the last couple of years, we've done some improvements to the batter's boxes, which, if you had never been to McAvoy Park, it was a constant issue where we had field dry and, you know, it's an actual clay infield on turf. So we removed all that for about $25,000 and put in synthetic turf batter's boxes. That said, it is a drop in the bucket for the actual maintenance needed. So the question becomes, what is the cost reward, cost benefit analysis for the removal of the turf and replacement with turf, or the removal of the turf, installation of sod? You know, that is going to be the issue, and it's just dollars.
Yep.
Frankly, it's tough. You
But
know,
it's obviously still somewhere on the horizon for you.
It is on the radar screen, it has to be. You know, we do have, a windfall is the wrong word, but we have quite a bit of money within the town, you know, ARP-wise. That would be an eligible project. I didn't put that on any list, Diana, but it's within a park. I would assume it'd be an eligible
I think it was on the
project.
list.
It is eligible.
If, Bob, if you had a choice, obviously, a life expectancy of a new turf field, right? Or would you prefer to go to grass? I mean, you know, if you had a choice, grass is there forever.
No.
Maybe, you know,
It's not, though.
It's a
Grass,
maintenance issue.
a
Either way,
high
it's
maintenance
maintenance.
issue,
but
yeah.
like,
You gotta
so-
trim, you gotta mow it.
Yeah, I know,
You gotta fertilize it, you gotta water it.
Sure.
Down there, it's gonna bake in the sun. There are advantages and disadvantages to both. In my mind, knowing this is years ago.
Yeah.
Not knowing we were gonna have $23 million, it was, what are we choosing not to fund that?
Yeah, right.
And,
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
Cost for, turf is X, the cost for sod is Y. Y has more maintenance. So, you
Yeah.
know, you pay it now, you pay it later. The use is what I would question first. I know we have senior softball there.
yeah.
You know, beyond that, Little League is there, lacrosse is there, soccer is there, and they are free, and the senior leagues are free too. So I don't know how we bring that money back in if we invest in it. The bond was just paid off,
Yeah, not,
5 years ago when we built the highway department? That was the debt cliff we came off of, was the bond for
McAvoy Park, that's
That's
but
how we
something,
funded
I'm
the highway
assuming
department.
something has to be done, right? So.
Yeah, in the
that'll be-
coming-
That'll be a discussion.
What's under the turf?
I would assume that you know, if you cut it in half and you looked at it as a cake, you've got stone, under drain, all the way up to,
Rubber crumb?
yeah,
It's
rubber
pressure
that
run and rubber
is
crumb.
laid out with the turf.
Well, thanks. I didn't mean to
Okay.
take a
No,
right
it-
turn,
look,
but
it-
definitely keep that in the
Well, it's part
forefront
of
of
it,
your mind.
so
It's-
it's something we'll have to be on our radar.
Yep.
I think priorities wise, in my opinion, while that turf certainly does not get compliments, it does not get significant, complaints. Not that I've heard. If you heard differently, please. I mean,
I
the
have.
senior guys certainly
Yeah.
don't like it, but
Well, the more we make maintenance an issue when somebody gets hurt, then
we have had lawsuits there. There's no doubt about that. We have been part of those lawsuits. Luckily, the town is not held liable for those lawsuits, as to the best of my knowledge. This was an error based on a former employee, as opposed to turf conditions. But we have been sued in the past, at McAvoy. As I was kind of thinking, the backyard project is probably number one. Some of the other improvements, while minor, I think have a significant impact. The restroom at Rudman Road, a restroom up at Camp Eastman for the soccer fields, those types of minor investments in the grand scheme of things, if you call $250,000 minor, but, you know, in the sense of $23 million, I guess you would call it minor. You get a lot more traction there for the 2 to 3 million at McAvoy, and that's what I would expect. Pete, you might have better numbers offhand than I do.
yeah, but
I would want to check with
we have
some
funds available
professionals.
for ARPA where we think that that's gonna be available. I mean, we're never gonna have that money again.
That's what I'm saying. I just don't want
And
that
then to try to
to
take
fall
$2
off.
million or bond that in the future, I mean, that,
Yeah, then we're back on the cliff. So
Crazy.
let's make sure we keep it.
I mean, that seems like low-hanging fruit as to what, I mean, I know you guys had to manage everything, but, I mean, to have a vendor get fee proposals, you know, to remove and replace.
100%. I mean, I think we can certainly move in that direction to ascertain dollar values for a turnkey, rip it up, put it back down, you know, for the future. I guess right now, the biggest question to me, which likely will start to logjam when we start to do things, is how much are we prepared to invest out back? You know, if that's a $7.5 million project maximum, that's a lot of those ARPA funds that we're committing. Because right now, we have a $750,000 CFA grant, which we hope to have knowledge when it comes back in Thanksgiving timeframe. We've got
But we can also
500,000.
do the backyard in stages, and I think that
Yeah.
that's what EDR made very clear. That can be done in stages over a course of time. So I guess I'd like to look at two of these things running
Yeah.
parallel.
I mean, honestly, I love the backyard project, and yeah, it's a master plan, which can be, I mean, even if you took out all the asphalt and put in grass, I mean, would be improvement over what it is now.
100%.
But,
And that would be
you
a
know,
minimal
that
investment.
Over there is an ongoing,
Yeah.
you know,
A lot of
chain
traffic
around
over
our
there, a
neck
lot of
that-
traffic, so.
And I think, you know, turf fields, access to turf fields properly, I mean, it's something that a lot of the public wants.
Fair enough.
I don't wanna keep beating it, but I can certainly see, you know, the backyard project being a project that's bonded or over
Yeah.
time, or as we understand what we're doing and how we're doing it, needing more study. But we know absolutely that turf needs to be replaced.
That is correct. 100% correct. All right. Kind of going all over the place. I like it. Anything else in parks as a whole?
No.
Again, there's not a lot of parks budget here to talk about. There's not a lot of budget really to talk about much of the stuff we're gonna talk about tonight, but, cemetery is gonna be even shorter of a conversation. Historian is gonna be the easiest conversation.
We're gonna go historian first,
Yes.
okay?
I don't even have it.
You don't have it?
The historian budget has been cut almost entirely. Diana,
No,
correct
we,
me if I'm wrong?
I did leave it in.
You did leave it in.
We left $2,990 in the budget. We have no personnel as we have a volunteer historian. So the money left in there is just office supplies, electric for the historical property, water, there's water in there, yeah. So it's just minimal cost, just in case the historian needs supplies in performing their duties.
Awesome, and thank you for absorbing that into your world so that we could do that.
Yeah, I mean, this was a discussion point, I won't lie, to wipe all of these lines out. As you're going through the budget process, your Supervisor Porticone can tell you this, you're this far over budget, you gotta come all the way down, what are we gonna find? Well, out of all of the collective lines, utilities, phone, all that has to stay, right? I mean, you have to keep heating the facilities, but you've, $2,000, I mean, it's not a significant, I don't mean to laugh about it.
The effort's there. You know what I mean? There's an effort there.
Yep.
And we appreciate that.
Very much.
That's, well, I can't say any more than that, so, whether it's 2,000 or more than that, there's an effort there to help
The
be
overall,
part of the help.
100%.
So thank you.
You're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. The cemetery budget was a thorny issue overall because we lost the ability to bring in the revenue at the cemetery. We currently have sold all of the columbariums on site. And so you can see in some of the board resolutions that the board has seen just the last couple of days, we've been able to take the $39,000 and $40,000 worth of revenue, which is, well over, double the tentative budget. We have to significantly decrease that 2022 because we just don't have the space anymore. Long-term, I think we need to, you can probably speak to this better, but I think we have looked at strategically moving for, and towards the construction of additional columbariums. I know, Jason, you and I talked years ago about a scatter garden. I think they're out of flavor now, but it's the columbariums that I think right now are hottest.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean,
Didn't we build a columbarium
we,
a few years ago, or?
Sold them out.
Yeah,
So
sold
we
them
built
out.
one a few years ago, right?
we built one a year ago and
A
it's
year
sold
ago.
out.
Yep,
I mean, we are turning people away now.
yes.
We do not have
Right,
space. There's,
so
I believe there's
people-
one spot left.
I think it's like one single
Yep.
or something that.
Yeah,
that's
there's
left.
no doubles, one single. So is there a way, as we look forward, and Erin has a great vision for this, and I love talking to her about the cemetery, because we're just weirdo tree hugger people, but, like, is there a way to incorporate passive recreation and walking paths and
So, no,
other
I mean,
things?
No, that is exactly where I want to be.
Okay.
When you go to a place like, I visited Riverside, I visited
Oh, yeah.
Sepulchre.
Oh, yeah.
and
Right,
even
Mount Hope.
Yeah, Mount Hope. They're
Tour.
instituting these ideas of what they call a village almost. So they
Mm-hmm.
institute columbariums. They have the tall columbariums. They brought in walls, and
Mm-hmm.
the walls so it makes a path. They have rocks, people that want to be buried in the ground, and their headstone looks like a river rock.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, and it does, and it makes it very park-like, and no, that is what people for sure want. I mean, you go to Holy Sepulchre, and they can't keep, they're building them as fast as they can
Yeah,
get them
them
off the shelf.
So does that make it more fundable in terms of whether it's ARPA or whether it's other funding sources if we start to combine the uses of that parcel of land?
Let's get it going.
I try.
I looked at
I'm
Diana.
guessing not
because
so much. All right, I
Diana
just
has
had to
been the-
ask.
Yeah, Diana's
yet.
been the primary for the Bonadillo group.
Okay.
And that was one that we put forth.
And it doesn't fit, but maybe it'll fit something else in the future.
Yeah, somewhere.
That idea died.
Yes.
If it doesn't fit, it
One
doesn't
for
fit,
you.
right?
It's a 5, need 5 ones,
No,
5
I'm,
of them,
I'm
okay?
right there with you.
All right, so maybe we can find another funding source that it is a better fit, whether it's
Yeah.
helping to reforest, or it's green space, or it's open space, or who knows what, right?
Are we one of the few
EPF
towns that
funds.
are in the cemetery business?
Yes, I would say that.
Say so? I mean,
would say
Monroe County, I'm not
Couple
talking.
villages, but not many.
I guess we're one of the rare ones
Yeah.
that we're so business and we're so minded in the world.
Yeah.
The other cemeteries, I know that
Because, I talk to other people and they're like, you got a cemetery in your budget? Yeah, we got a
Right.
cemetery in our
Or
Or
budget.
they're full and they just mow them, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
But
All
no,
right.
Okay,
no,
thank you.
Well, where you're at.
We'll keep talking,
Yeah.
thank you.
We discussed within the concept of this budget, would we build another one? To build one, you see a significant increase in expenditure, and then Donnie Mocker down at the cemetery operations specialist would be selling them before it's built.
Sure.
Right.
Which is possible, yeah.
It is, and we discussed it, ultimately we landed to, this budget was dynamic.
Maybe
Let's-
next year.
Let's leave well enough alone, we made it, and ultimately said, okay, let's maybe reload for the future, because I think we can do that. Will it be 100% balanced? I don't think so. Maybe,
Not in the beginning, but we're also providing something else to the residents. When you talk about the town for a lifetime, I mean, not to be morbid, but makes you the town for a lifetime, full circle. I'm just, yeah.
Oh, no, I agree, yeah,
Pretty much
and that's where I
truncates
like to get to the different
I missed that.
aesthetic from what
that
people
number
might
two?
want
Yeah.
to be looking for. If you want the traditional grave, if you want this village, I mean, there's benches, there's all sorts of ideas out there.
Awesome.
That are cool.
Okay, sorry for another right turn. I love the office down there, by the way. It's fabulous, it's comfortable, people feel comfortable when they go there. They don't feel like they're sitting in somebody's garage with a space heater, so thank you for all the amenities that you've included there.
well, that credit is certainly due, it's not due at my feet, I don't believe it's due at Aaron's feet, but certainly Joe Labini is taking Foreman Labini, who will be retiring in February of next year, has truly invested a lot of time and effort and dedication, and I think Mr. Mocker, in his new role, has been doing excellent down there to make sure that it's a friendly and welcoming place,
And it is.
because you're dealing with people that are in a very, very different dynamic state. And so I think his hire, promotion to that cemetery operations supervisor has been seamless and has been very good for the town as a whole. On 2 of 5 within the cemetery budget, again, nothing significant. $1,500 is for a weed whacker. On 3 of 5, you see many decreases overall, and then a couple, 200% increase in an electrical supply line, so you went to $300 there. There's not a significant increase here. We again, moved towards this budget to try to cut as much as we could.
And Aaron, are we supplying them with all the tape and burlap and string they might need for the spring? Because I have to say, they have also been absolutely amazing at their, stick-with-itness to save the trees.
Oh, no,
We
I-
went down there, we did that clip with Noreen Reardon, the arborist, and then every time I went back, because I'm nerdy and I walk in the cemetery, it's a great place to go, the trees were all taken care of. That was very impressive to see.
No, of course.
Thanks.
What do we pay for taxes? Why do we increase taxes and why do we pay taxes? What are taxes?
We pay special assessments on the town property, including town halls, so we pay special assessments.
$35 is very special. Very.
Again, within parks for next year, while this budget does not have significant dollar values hard budgeted, We still have many improvements that are planned. So again, while this doesn't have a lot of very interesting things to talk about, we do have very interesting things to talk about in parks, and those are funded directly from the ARP. Moving on to building maintenance, if we can. Everyone's favorite subject, building maintenance. We were talking with CSEA today about building maintenance, and all parties agreed that, what was their saying, Jason? Nobody likes the cleaners, nobody likes the way they clean, something like that?
Nobody's ever satisfied.
That's correct. Nobody's ever satisfied with the cleaning. That was from the labor relations specialist saying that, so it's kind of interesting. Within building maintenance, we have 4 budgets. We have town hall, this building, we have public safety building, we have the library, and we have the community center. So 16, 20, 21, 22, and 23. For the highway department, we do not have a budget for the highway department. The highway department just absorbs and makes do. And special districts help. So, the interfund revenue, ARPA, Jason, can you, 1620-0299?
So the revenue for the ARPA funded is a new building maintenance supervisor position, which the town board voted on this week. And this would, this reimbursement is for 90% of the building supervisor's salary and benefits.
Diana, is this for 1 year, or are we doing this for consecutive years?
In the plan that was approved, it's for the 3 years,
Okay.
slowly
Taking it down.
bringing the percentages down to bring it fully into the budget.
Excellent.
Should the town decide to maintain that position after 2024.
Excellent, thank you.
On page 2 of 5, you see some decreases overall. Equipment is down by 4,500. Contracted services is up minimally, just 1,000. Fuel chargebacks are up.
Why is that?
That is, we have 301, 302. 303, we do have 3? I'm trying to think of 303. All of them are funded out of here. So that's the vehicles that go down to the boat launch, grabs the garbage, brings the garbage back up here, or brings keys to their community center, whatever the case may be. When I started that, we didn't have the need to have vehicles within building maintenance. There was a custodian here, there was a custodian there, and that was it. The custodian at the PD actually split time with the Department of Public Works and was 1.5 cleaners. Then it went to 2 cleaners, 3 cleaners, Camp Eastman now, library, community center, so there's more and more staff members, plus seasonal staff members now too, down specifically at the Arundecoit Bay State Marine Park, concession stand at 117 Kings Highway for the baseball fields. Ultimately, which will need to be discussed likely during next year's budget, will be concession stands at Rudman Road. McAvoy Park is currently on the list, so that does receive custodial services. And then up at the soccer fields as well.
Camp Eastman.
Yep. So maintenance, heating, and air is up. We will likely in the future need to strategically think about HVAC system here in this building and at the public safety building. Annually, 1 to 2 heat pumps go a year. They're about $7,000 a piece. We've, been fixing them as needed. That's where we bond funds every couple of years. This year, we've removed that from the bonding schedule. It was scheduled for it, but we still have some funds available, and ultimately may have other funding streams to assist in that. But the HVAC system here and at the public safety building is something that does need to be critically thought of strategically in the future, as well as just general upgrades to the lavatories in both buildings. We've gotten some cost estimates already from engineering to gut the downstairs lavatories, lower level lavatories, and then rebuild them, but they are significant investments. These aren't, this wouldn't be an investment that would live in a budget. This is more of an investment that would be either bonded or funded elsewhere.
Yep.
But we increased this line to 7,500 to ensure that we at least have funds enough for one heat pump if and when it does fail. On 3 of 5, minor increases and decreases here. The biggest one is supplies custodial. That goes from 6,000 to 8,000. This again, just to ensure that we have the necessary products COVID-wise. So 1620 is town hall, 1621, is the public safety building. Public safety building budget, very similar to the town hall budget. It funds one full-time person at that facility. There's no equipment within this budget. Contracted services are up 5% there. We chronically have to repair the gates at the public safety building, and we hope that we don't have to repair the gates in 2022. That's the small increase you see in contracted services. Minor decreases on 2 of 3. These are some of the smallest budgets that are within the DPW umbrella, the building maintenance budgets as a whole. And they are often taxed to the max, as you can, I don't know how many years we've ended in the black. I won't lie, it's probably not a great track record. They're cut down to the bone, these building maintenance budgets, and if one thing goes, there goes the budget. That's unfortunately the reality of building maintenance.
So nothing's allowed to go.
Nothing's allowed to go, exactly, so fingers crossed. But we do have newer facilities. You've got the library, which is a perfect segue to maybe throw shade at EC4B. I'm not sure if this would be the time where I could throw a little around, but you will see that in the library budget, DPW, and ICC. We have newer facilities which shouldn't require such significant investments as the town hall and the public safety building truly demand. That's ultimately the reality of the situation. The library at one time in this 1622 budget housed the repiping of system 4 and 5. I believe, John, this is now living in the library budget as a whole.
Correct.
I'm not sure if the board has seen that budget yet.
No, we haven't.
Okay, but I'll explain that on the library's behalf. Systems 1, 2, and 3 at the library began, System 1 failed. System 2 began to fail March of this year, where we did not have heat in the lower level meeting rooms of the library. After discussion with our new vendor, we had Poster and Jekyll at that facility for years doing service contract work for us. We rebid that. We elected to move in a different direction to Monroe Piping and Sheet Metal, who we've had a long-standing relationship with here at the town hall and the public safety building. It was in March of that year that we said, here is an issue at the library. We do not have heat. Please investigate it. Long story short, the aluminum piping that is used to move the refrigerant through the system was littered with pinholes throughout, specifically at the Ys, where one piping branched in a Y fashion, I'll say Y. It was at that moment that Todd from Monroe Piping and Sheet Metal relayed an issue with these Reflock Ys. The firm's gone out of business since because of a faulty product and issues. So we had a compressor that failed. We had the electrical on the rooftop unit got so hot that it melted. We had issues because we had no refrigerant in the system. We had no actual oil in the system, etc. Ultimately, we began right there the repiping of System 1, which was the system that failed. System 2 was requiring to be topped off, if you will, every week or every other week with about 30 pounds out of 60 pounds. So it just kept losing the refrigerant. When discussing how to perform that work, we reviewed how the aesthetic wood-paneled ceiling right at the entrance in the vestibule area is installed. We discussed having a general trades contractor off of the Town of Greece contract come in, remove that whole ceiling, displace the main entrance of the library in an effort to get at the aluminum piping that's in there. Ultimately, we found a chase that would service to install new copper piping within that area, and elected, rather than doing this year over year, to move forward and do all three lower level systems at once, to move through this chaseway at one time. Thus, we would hope at a scale of economy, we have one man hour to install the three, as opposed to three different man hours installing three. So we moved in that direction. We utilized the remaining funds within the CIP that built the library. And ultimately, after discussion with the library board designated additional funds to assist the cost of the rehab project for systems 1, 2, and 3. The funds that you will see, this is a long story, I'm sorry, so not going fast. The funding you will see within the library budget this year is to repipe systems 4 and 5 upstairs. 4 and 5 have been running the entire building throughout the entire summer. So after discussion with Todd, it was his professional opinion that those systems are on bought time, and you should plan to move in this fashion as soon as possible. I've known Todd for 8 years. John, I think you've known Todd for a whole lot longer than I have.
I mean, it's a point where probably compressors will be getting, you have to keep replacing compressors, and then those are about $8-10
10K.
thousand a pop, so.
And it's just a simple fact of when they run out of refrigerant, the compressor seizes. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that's it.
what we're talking about here. That's,
What is the refrigerant? Is it Freon, glycol, what?
Freon.
I think it's
Freon.
Freon. There is an oil mixture
Yeah.
in there, which is the lubrication.
And we don't have any recourse.
They
from
are
the
good
original
systems when they
contractor.
run properly. They're very efficient. But right now, I think you'll see a difference with 1, 2, and 3. I think they're finished now with 1, 2, and 3. They probably just finished them.
I've been informed that system 2 and 3 are operational with the new copper piping.
Okay.
System 3 is on the verge of being completed.
Okay.
The issue with the Reflock Y, a firm that is no longer in business, so who do we go? We can't go to Dakin. Dakin's the manufacturer of the systems. We can't go to the contractor who installed it.
'Cause we probably spec
They
the
installed the
system.
specs
Yeah.
of the Reflock Ys.
Oh, well.
I really can't go to EC4B for specking out here is the spec on this
Yeah.
basis of design of Reflock Ys when the firm was still in business, So ultimately, we are in a very unfortunate situation, discussing that and telling it to the library board, where they're talking about cutting different, mid-year, cutting down on X, Y, and Z to try to find the $60,000 or so. It was difficult. They
sure.
also had a lot of these same questions, but.
It's about 40,000 a unit. To do what they're doing, and they're all similar, but you're going in there during business hours, working amongst people,
yeah.
replacing pipe, it's
Chasing
a
it all.
lot of labor intense job.
They have done a great job, I will say that, while I know the cost is not something that is, of course, favorable. I have had many conversations with Greg and with the library board, and we haven't seen significant disruption there, which is,
Good.
a plus, you know.
Well, thank you for the insight.
We did have space heaters on last night in the meeting rooms, but we hope to have that fixed soon too. It's, you know, it is a hit and miss with regard to that, and hopefully, once we get this work completed, we can move on in a more, you know, in an easier fashion, rather than, you know, Poster and P&J having a compressor every year, which is what was occurring. We would just replace the compressor, the library would just replace the compressor, which was some of the frustration of the library board, which is why this ended up in the Department of Public Works. So, just FYI, as you go back through the years, this was not maintained by the DPW.
Correct.
This was maintained by the library director, but it was only born out of frustration from the library board, and a partnership to where former Supervisor Sealy and I met with them and said, we'll get this done and we'll try to manage it better. And here we are.
I think it's an example too of, I think you're better equipped to understand maintenance and repairs and things and why things are happening. And then,
I didn't mean that, I agree, I didn't mean that to disrespect the former director, Terry Buford. I mean, if you're a librarian and you're the library director, how the hell are you supposed to know
No, I
how
would
an
agree with
HVAC
Peter,
system?
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
you're not supposed
Like
to
you
know
wouldn't
that.
go over there and start deciding what kind of reading materials they were gonna, it's just two different jobs. Yep.
What's the way they alphabetize?
Yeah, Dewey Decimal.
Is it still the Dewey Decimal System is how they do it,
All right,
right?
keep
I
going,
can't write
keep
my
going.
nickel. There you go, right? It was like kindergarten for me. So, with the library budget, you can see there are some increases within contracted services. This is for Logical Control Solutions, Monroe Piping and Sheet Metal, and increased frequency from Monroe Piping and Sheet Metal to inspect the systems from twice a year to 4 times a year for the HVACs. You see increases within paper products, decreases, various different lines to try to cut and shave as much as we can.
also, I think in lessons learned at ICC that we've really amped up our maintenance expectations there based on what we've learned about, you know, other new facilities. And it's one thing I warn a lot of customers about, that build new giant buildings, you're gonna enter a whole new world of maintenance and monitoring of systems and equipment and supplies and cleaning and all that stuff. It's just like a whole new world with,
I promise I'll turn the alarm system on before a year goes by, Pete.
Okay, I'll hold you to
Promise.
that. God.
well, I don't think that building management system, it probably has some alarms that were going off too for some of that stuff before.
Probably.
Yes, they're,
They were like going on, well, hey, it's alarmed.
yeah, and again, this is the hardship of tasking someone to do that doesn't have
Right.
all of the wherewithal to do it. Hopefully, we will not replay those same memories from the library build-out. We haven't yet with the DPW, so that's a plus. Within the community center, as a segue, there are only 3 pages within the community center budget. The biggest unknown is page 1, which is the CAM charges. This is a revenue line that we will bring in. Diana, correct me here if I run aground. The maximum value of the butt glazed glass on the lower level was $180,000 owed by the landlord. The town paid our contractor the $180,000 on behalf of Angelo because they are our contractor. We did not want any other compensation coming from anyone else. We paid Javen to install that. Angelo will provide to us over a 10-year period an $18,000 credit. And I use round numbers. It might not be $18,000, it might be $17,624.33. I need to get the final invoices from Javen. So we put 18 in because that's the total maximum value of the Buckley's class. So Angelo will deduct the value, $18,000 we'll continue to use, over a 10-year period to provide us the reimbursement on our CAM charges. So we account for that in this budget as revenue, and then we account for it in this budget as an expenditure for the $18,000. Now, we do not know the CAM charges for the community center. The CAM charges could be $36,000. If they are, we pay $18,000, right? Because we are getting, quote unquote, that discount of the $18,000. So, the tenant, the commencement agreement set forth what we percentage-wise owe Angelo and Gracia, excuse me, the Skyview on the Ridge, for our camp charges. We are very interested to know what he's gonna charge us and when I wanna see,
Yeah, I was gonna
to
say,
see
do we
these
have a
bills.
ballpark? Do we have a
We have
budget?
Not a clue in the world.
Not a clue in the
I've,
world.
I've asked him several
love
times.
this feeling.
He has no idea. Yes, yes. It's, what would you say, shooting in the dark?
Yeah,
No idea.
okay.
So we booked 18,000 as revenue and 18,000 as an expenditure.
We'll go from there.
From there, we will have to audit what Angelo gives us at the end of the year. And then we will have to sit down with, I would highly recommend, a consultant to pick through each one of the invoices we receive to make sure that it is, in fact, accurate.
Agreed,
Every year.
agreed.
Yeah.
So that is one of the larger pieces here, and it is a piece that we simply do not know what is coming. Thus, we put in the expenditure and we put in the revenue to state that it's on the books. Once we see the first one, we'll be able to better project. Sir?
Like with snow plowing, if he plows the entire parking lot, although we're, us, Pathstone and RGH, whatever the only tenants are, we then responsible for 1/3, or it's all based on
It's
rentable area, the square footage and such like that, and the requisite area of the parking?
I cannot recall snow plowing off the top of my head. I don't know if that's lumped into, our frontage, which is only like 4%, because it's 60, we have 62 feet of frontage, or if that's lumped into the 41,399 usable square feet out of the million.
It's usually square footage, but
So it might be lumped there. I don't know what pot that will live in. That will be likely negotiated, where that lives, where each one of these items lives, where dumpsters live.
Yeah, we don't actually have hard anything right
No.
now.
We know the percents that we
Yeah,
will
we got the
pay.
percents down.
Right,
have
we just
that,
don't
right.
know.
Right, we don't know what the percent
Yeah.
equals.
the town's not plowing the parking lot?
No,
No,
the
they're
Department
private.
of Public, we will not, that is a private property. We cannot do that. I would not.
The
advise it.
liability is too big.
Yeah, there are a lot of issues there. I would not advise that. We would salt the front entrance as much as I would say we would do outside. But if there's a slip and fall in the parking lot, that is not that's not the town of Arundecoit. These will be conversations that are gonna happen. I know they need to happen quickly. Quickly with this landlord is not something that actually happens. So we will try our best. We did just delay the opening by a week because quickly wasn't heated. So, we're trying. We need to get the fourth project schedule, and we need to get the books closed on this project. That is, in my mind, it's almost as big, if not bigger, than the CAM charges and reviewing each one of them. I know he will plow the parking lot. I know that he's already has a contract in place. I do know some of these things. The frequency, is it 2 inches, is it 1 inch, are they gonna salt, what, I didn't get into those details, but I know he's got AP to perform the plowing, which is, okay, at least it's something. It's some reassurances that something will be done. And in the last 6 months, as John Supervisor Perticone can say, there has been a lot of progress at Skyview. They have done a lot of work. They haven't done it to the time and the dance that we would have liked, but it has been done to where we have a C of O, and we can open programming as early as tomorrow.
We have our water sub-metered?
It is sub-metered within the facility. Angelo has a meter at the pump house that does the entire campus. Then Pathstone will have their sub-meter, we will have our sub-meter.
They pass it on, ran on their own new primary.
They have their own water main, don't they?
Yeah, I believe you're right. We are primary for RG&E gas. We have our own our own gas meter with RG&E. That services the 3 rooftop units. RG&E Electric is sub-metered through Angelo.
So it's really only cleaning and snow plowing and
Interior cleaning in the mall, right? You know, whatever that's gonna cost, whenever that's gonna be
Gonna
open,
do there.
when we get there.
A lot of glass to clean.
2 foot less of that glass would have made a lot of
Lot
sense,
better,
that's
man.
all I know.
2
Is that
feet's
2
all
feet
we
really
wanted.
needed,
Eh,
All right, so there's one line here that we should probably go through, and then the rest we can just kind of move on, but contracted services line is $115,380.
what page?
This is two of three ICC Community
it.
Center budget. We have the cleaning contract at a value of $83,980. We have various Johnson Controls related items from software to fire, sprinkler, the backflow inspection, and alarm systems at nearly $6,000. We have Time Warner Cable for all of the, Spectrum for all of the different TVs in the facility. I have some funds in here for floor cleaning, just out of the unknown that what the actual cleaning contract will perform. Exodus Exterminating for pest control. McCarthy Fire for any fire extinguishers in there. I have Morgan Services for floor mats. Out of all of those funds, I've taken 15% and added it to it because there are things that I have not thought of within that facility. If it's software or if it's a physical item that needs to be purchased, or get on contract to have someone clean windows, for instance, I don't know if the cleaning contractors are cleaning windows there. If they are, they better get themselves a big damn ladder, because those windows go all the way up to the skylights. So we've got some dollar values plugged in just for $15,000 worth of, something will occur, and I don't know what that something is going to be. But we at least have some funds here to be able to move in that direction. Because the worst thing we could do now, having built it, is let it run into the ground. And we can't. We tried that at the library with 3 part-timers. John can,
Yeah.
Doesn't
John knows
work.
well, it didn't work, and we immediately hired a full-time custodian and a part-timer.
That library got out of control quick.
Certainly did.
Yeah, didn't take long,
And I anticipate we'll see the same use once we get up and running and
So-
people are in there. Yeah.
the part-timers there, they just don't take a lot of pride in what they do. They're in, they're out, and that's it. So you get a full-timer in there, they kinda take a little pride in what they do,
It does
believe it
need
or not.
training too on means and methods,
Yeah.
and some of that stuff. I mean, for a long time, the library, they couldn't clean the ceramic tile, but the O&M manual required it to have a steam type cleaner, which was something they were unfamiliar
Yeah,
with. things
right,
like
sure,
that.
yeah, exactly.
As soon as you hit it with the right thing,
It's
it
clean,
cleans up.
yep.
Carpet's the same way. I mean, if you don't properly clean.
Exactly.
They get a lot of traffic, so.
Yep.
Once we, really took on that, meeting with FINA, for instance, was something that was extremely valuable to understand. This is the type of cleaning methodology for the carpets.
At the end of a job, a lot of times these O&M manuals are handed over, they're put on a shelf,
And
and,
they're never picked up.
and gym floors and things like that.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Specific maintenance.
We have a lot of very specific surfaces in this building, yeah.
Henrietta's recreation department, they burned a hole in the floor the very first time they ran the cleaner on it because they didn't read and use the right product. So nice shiny
Let's
spot.
hope we've given the cleaning contractors the O&M manuals. Put that on the list, huh? Really nothing else of substance here within the community center budget. I think the biggest two things to discuss with the board is the CAM charges and the larger contracted services lines.
And you'll obviously continue to brief us on the CAM charges as more information comes available.
Yes, I will be back before the board, depending on how soon I can get answers and final invoicing from our contractors, either in November or December, to move through. We continue to remain, this isn't an on-time, under-budget project. I think I've relayed that to every single board member.
Yep.
This project is over time and over budget. We did not land the plane very well here. Some things are our own doing, some are not our doing. But we will likely need to amend the final budget for this project when we amend and when we get to a final project amendment to ensure that Angelo pays for, I don't know, the 50 ceiling tiles that have been destroyed because the roof still leaks, or a variety of different smaller items that occurred. The town is incurring costs for porta-johns right now because we're not using the bathrooms. The town is not going to be eating the cost for the porta-johns. We will be asking the landlord to compensate the town for the cost of the porta-johns. These are simple things that occurred through the life of the project. There are things that we owed as a part of this project. We damaged, destroyed X, we fixed X. Those things occurred, so.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everyone knows too that, just so everyone knows, we're being recorded, so just in case, I just keep reminding everybody, that's all.
Quick question. I haven't been there in a couple weeks. What's that railing look like on the second floor? Will I love it when I go?
I do not believe it's been installed as of yet.
Okay.
The drinking fountains were supposed to be delivered yesterday, today's Thursday, today. I don't think they've been installed yet. I do know Javen was on site to resecure a couple of things that were loose and get a couple of other smaller painting punch list items, but there's still work to be done in the facility. So that's why I can't tell you if we'll be, at the November board meeting, or if we'll be at the December board meeting to close the books, because I can't close the books on the project until
Till all those
the
things are off the
contract work is
tick
up,
list.
and then we
Okay.
can just hold retainage.
Fair enough, thank you.
But that cost is included within, the cost of the railing is included within the total package, obviously. And, those, again, items that likely should have been there from the beginning, but have a cost now midstream, those influence the bottom line. Others, Buckley's Glass, for instance, we did not have significant control over.
I know, Bob, you're really conscious of all that stuff, but you said the plane didn't come in very well, but, a renovation project is fraught with a lot of things that are unforeseen in a very complicated building and environment that not a lot of base information, and I think, the amount of contingency and the things that were there was within what I would say were the tolerances for a project of that complexity and scale, so I think it was a very successful project. I know you are very, very tight on where you want to be number-wise, but I think that was a success and not a failure on your part and the team's part.
I appreciate that, and
And it's got nothing to do, can't take it personal, and it's got nothing to do with the contractors. I mean, we had a good crew there, it's just, I think you hit it, Pete, it's a tough job, man, it just is.
We didn't know what we didn't know.
Just when we started demoing, you could tell it was it was a tough job. We retrofitted a community center in a mall, so, yes, I wouldn't take anything personal, and I don't think anybody should there, because it was a difficult situation.
It was the most challenging project that I've overseen in my years here at the town. There's no doubt about it. And you're talking disaster, the highway department's on fire, we gotta figure out what we're gonna do, was easier than this project. I will not lie. From influences, both internal and external, to the bottom line issues, yes, this was challenging. I still don't like to come in over budget on these types of projects. And, while it is much more difficult to build, to retrofit than it is to build new, no doubt about that. It's still, it is what it is, unfortunately speaking, and I do understand that is one, but, I'd like to bet 1,000, I guess, if I can.
We say it's over budget, but there was scope that was beyond what the original budget included, so,
Very much so.
Yeah, very much so. Agreed.
I mean, it's pretty common when people put in their kitchen, they're like, I want to keep this, that, and the other thing, all of a sudden you start adding all this stuff in because you realize that, and is that making it over budget, or is that a choice? And I don't say that's what we were doing. I mean, in some cases, like the glass and things like that was, but
Well,
sometimes things you just need things that are
the
different.
glass is one that I think you can hang your hat on, if you will. You do have a basis of design that Del Paz drew up, that we went to the constituency with, that the voters voted on, that the lease line changed dramatically from there. It changed in the sense that we double stacked our entire space and gained more availability for the natural light to enter into the facility as opposed to being underneath and tucked away where originally it was. And as a result of that change, which was most satisfactory to the town, no doubt about it, the double stacking of the space is most conducive for a long-term tenant than it would be if we were split like we were originally. That comes at a cost of the glass, you know, so there's $300,000 for that glass, which was very challenging to absorb within a budget. You know, there's no doubt about it. Even one where we did have contingencies which started to be chewed up rather quickly.
The space.
Reconnections came in much higher than originally anticipated. Our electrical reconnection was anticipated to be somewhere in the
Reconnection was a
the X
difficult one.
range, and it turned out to be 4 times X, because the electrical reconnection was so much more complicated than originally thought. So there are large driving forces with regard to why we did not hit the budget that we were originally anticipating. And then there are all the smaller things that occur in construction. This door needs to be moved here, you know, this doesn't work right, you know, so. A couple of the larger ones drove a lot of the financial encumbrances. Anything else on building maintenance?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so, Public Works, we got a ways to go here. Within Public Works, there are general fund sensitive accounts, which is the beginning. There are highway funds, which are levy sensitive, they are their own fund. And then there are the special districts, storm and sanitation. Within the, again, as a whole for this budget, we did not, pursue significant, new purchases. This budget does include 2 new, dump trucks. We needed, other vehicles that we did not move forward with because we were tight. The 2 dump trucks are very much needed, and they are in here. They would be indebted over a period of 7 years. 6 years, excuse me.
6 years.
So we'll go right through. I will go rather fast here in some of these general fund sensitive ones, as there is not much to relay.
Do you mind if we just take a short break?
Sure.
Before you dig into, a lot of people want to eat, and I
Go for it.
would just like to stretch for a minute, if nobody
Yeah,
minds.
good idea.
For like 5 minutes.
We got
Right now, we have a contract, and it's a minimum of 4 hours. And all they change it. So Greg is thinking they should be able to do it.
Did we make?
yeah.
And I don't know if this would still
I don't know if there's.
Probably.
There's dessert up there, no?
$1,000 for them to hit a switch. Because it's a minimum.
This sucks. They have to come and turn a switch on the computer. Or we're gonna-
I mean, it's gonna happen, because I guess Greg's coming.
He ain't never gonna hear it.
I just think it's crazy. I don't like that minimum. That's what they change.
I'm doing okay. Did a marathon here. Thank you. Try to get 45 minutes and we'll be done. You laugh, John. I can do it in 45 minutes.
All right.
I can do it in 10. It depends on how much detail you want. 10. 10 minutes? 10 minutes worth of detail.
Well, Jason's supposed to be on at 7:30.
Pumpkin something.
pumpkin, and then the other one is, apple crisp cake.
Bob Kiley?
Tell Michelle I said thank you for the dinner tonight.
Hey, when I dropped your budget off, that
Yeah.
guy across the street from you in that pink house,
Yeah.
boy, he's got a lot of advertisement on that lawn.
Oh, yeah, doesn't he?
You know him? I mean, you deal with him at all? No?
looks like I've got 35 minutes. All right, so within Public Works admin, it's all general fund sensitive. Landscaper fees are down. Public Work admin, again, down. From leasing of the vehicles are out, so we don't have those costs. We're trying to go down across the board here, especially within the general fund sensitive accounts. So nothing of substance within Public Works admin. Within engineering, we kept engineering lines the same, $16,000. We likely will use all of the $16,000. In Operations Center budget, Operations Center, there's a charge that goes to the Consolidated Sewer District that comes into the Operations Center. Operations Center is where we pay for utilities for the Highway Department. There is some increase within the first line contracted services based on Johnson Controls for our access control and security system at the Department of Public Works. There is nothing else of significance within the Operations Center. If I begin to go too fast, please stop me with questions, and I will stop and answer them. Communications, we had plans to purchase additional field radios. We scaled those plans back for one field radio. This would allow us during a natural disaster to communicate with the police department on the police department channels. Think of COVID drive-through, think of masks, thank you. Think of masks, where I've got a highway field radio. Chief Laird is on Titus Avenue, and I call Al on a field radio, the highway channel. Al's the only one with a highway channel. Al picks up the highway channel and then dispatches out for, 712, 713, whatever it is. So having the communication on the channel, so all of the officers here, we have the masks coming in from Monroe County Sheriff's Office Escort on 590, traveling at 90 miles an hour to get us 200,000 more masks.
Is that channel all first responders?
How it works, I guess, is it's a dedicated channel.
So it can
whoever-
be
it
if you
can
need it to be.
Right.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'm right, yeah.
Yeah, so if Point was on that, if we had a disaster here in town, all of the agencies could go to their own channel.
I think I remember talking to Tommy about that, yeah.
That's correct.
Awesome.
Yeah, good pull, I couldn't remember. Traffic control, really no significant changes within traffic control. Traffic control is our sign shop. Again, minor decreases across the board. Within sidewalk plowing, again, overall decreases across the board. We went down in some of the commercial vehicle maintenance. Within sidewalk construction, we had some minor increases, some minor decreases within sidewalk construction.
So Bob, this does not include the work that's being done that we talked about the other night?
It does include the indebtedness, the payment on principal
Okay.
within this budget.
Okay,
So the $250,000 that we bonded last night,
okay.
Tuesday night,
Okay.
began the process to bond, let me be clear, is within this, and it is listed. Interest on banned sidewalk reconstruction on page 2 of 2. Diana, is that
You know, too, Bob, I think we should talk, not a lot of sidewalk work went on this year.
This year was
Would you say 40 feet, 100 feet, whatever it was? So,
not a significant volume
so I
of
think
sidewalk.
Bob and his team over there, we can't get too far behind that. You know what I mean? We can't exclude that type of work for too many years in a row, otherwise we're gonna be in a lot of trouble. So my hat goes off to continue, let's get the sidewalks repaired.
How do we balance that?
Because if we let it go too far, and I gotta tell you something, when you came on, and I know nobody, this happened with roads, so I know this is a lot smaller, but there was not a lot of paving and budgets in the day, so we can't get, but I think it was a good CIP to get that back on track anyway, so.
I think long-term, bonding for sidewalk work to have large-scale projects completed for reconstruction efforts, pockmarked in neighborhoods, is a successful tactic to move forward and to put our best foot forward when it comes to, no pun intended, when it comes down to reconstructing sidewalks. The reality of in-house sidewalk construction, it is a strain on resources, and those resources are not only the financial, it is the physical. There are X number of highway department employees, and the X number of highway department employees has not grown through the years. It is the same. And this year specifically, not finding 8 employees, 6 or 8 employees. We had funding for 6 or 8 additional summer help employees that we could not hire. And that puts a strain on resources because those 6 or 8 employees, prospective employees that we hire, then take the place of the current laborers who have CDLs who would then haul to then alleviate a whole nother crew to go out and perform sidewalk maintenance work and rip out sidewalks and pour sidewalks. And because we did not find those 6 individuals, the sidewalk crew was not active all year long, period. We paved roads, and that's, it's sad to say this, but we are so far behind in roads, and we've done such a great job in the last 8 years to move forward and to put forth that financial and physical resources to resurface the town and then begin to surface treat the town. Resurfacing at $60,000 a lane mile, surface treatment at $8,000. You have to do both. And right now, we're on this exponential upward on both, and sooner or later, that cost of resurfacing is going to come down, and we will be able to just surface treat to protect the roads that are 7s and 8s and 9s, keep them 10s, and then go with the 2s and 3s and 4s and resurface them. So, in my tenure here, I have looked at this position, this job, this department as a disaster, and I've continued to focus in that sense. And that's not to say it was disastrous, just to say, what is the imminent concern? The imminent concern has been roads. The second imminent concern has been trees. The third imminent concern is sidewalks. And it is in that ilk that we continue to put forth those efforts. Now, we have sanitation and storm, which are special districts, so they're not, you can't almost talk about them here because they're separate, they are. And so, bonding right now is the best methodology, to put forth effort into the community to repair what is broken, destroyed, heaved, delaminated, etc. And I think that is a methodology every other year that we should continue. Until such time as we increase staff and we have all these staff members, we're not in that position. We're certainly not in that position in this budget. We haven't been in that position for the last 7 budgets.
So Bob, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So is there ever any opportunity for the positions we didn't fill and the dollars that didn't get spent to hire outside of our workforce, to contract out some of that work? Or are there not enough dollars at the end of the budget?
So is your question the personnel dollars? Let's say we had $100,000 worth of personnel.
Yeah, if we couldn't fill the seats on the bus and we couldn't get the sidewalk work done to the level that we really wanted because we didn't have the manpower, is it possible to subcontract any of that so that some level of work still continues to move forward?
There would need to be a board resolution to move funds from personnel lines from a 1,000 series, help me Diana, 1,000 series, to a 4,000 series. So it's not impossible, no.
If you see this as a continuing curve for a while, is this a conversation that we should have?
Yes, I hope it's not I hope we can find,
Agreed,
younger
but
men and women who want to work in the field. And we had success this year finding some, and they're still with us.
Yep.
It is a great place to work. You work outside, you work with your hands. It is very rewarding work. I believe in this budget, Jason's not here, but I believe we were at,
Sorry, what,
are we at 15
for,
summer help?
I think, everyone's up to 15.
We'd have to wait for Jason.
He's right behind you.
he's in the back. So I guess I would just ask
Sorry, I didn't
that,
see him.
that if we continue on this same curve for a while and we can't get the work done in-house, that we at least consider some level of ability to continue.
There were, Yes. Absolutely. We
It's the
will.
shortest answer you've ever given me.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
I can talk. I will move on while Jason finds the answer to that question. Solid waste is a budget that is, we were seeking to purchase a vehicle in solid waste. We ended up not purchasing that vehicle. Solid waste should see significant decreases, and overall, this budget is probably extremely budget positive. We are now anticipating $12,500 worth of revenue for the sale of wood chips. In the past, this board will remember paying $50,000 to get rid of wood chips. That's right after the windstorm, so how it has changed. Significant decreases in contracted services, which reflects that. You can see that's down 82% from 69,000 adjusted, so $46,000 original went all the way down to 8,000. Various decreases within this budget line as well. I think in time, likely next year, we will have to look at the acquisition of a new Prentice loader or Peterson Lightning loader to be able to continue to move through our brush pickup program, but we will make do for another year with Vehicle 159.
We've looked at leaf pickup in the past.
Prior to me, yes.
Have we ever revisited that at all?
We have not. It is a significant value in equipment and personnel. There are towns that do leaf pickup, of course, and there are towns that do not. We are not the only town that does not do leaf pickup. Town of Penfield does not do leaf pickup. Leaf pickup presents challenges in a community that is as built out as ours, that is as densely forested as ours.
Yeah, urban forest.
Urban forest, sure. There would be challenges and there would be fiscal consequences. It's something we can explore. It's something that I think people, our neighbors, ask about often.
Until you put a price tag on it.
If you
Until
put-
you are
yes.
transparent and you tell people what it involves, buying Vector trucks, hiring people, new crew.
Else
It's-
maintenance didn't last long.
Yeah, I mean, think of,
I think there was a study done, Bob, back when we were on the
Well,
conservation
there was a
board.
referendum at one time,
there was a
years
referendum at one
ago.
point.
Yes,
Years ago, there was.
about the potential cost, which
Yeah,
has probably unfortunately grown because of fuel surcharges and
Yeah, I
equipment
mean, the
costs.
budget to do it now would be, well, first of all, you have to, equipment, manpower, that type of thing.
Within this budget, right, we have built 3 facilities, 2 of which were voted on for tax increases. Neither of those tax increases went into effect. We've absorbed the bonding for 3 buildings while maintaining flat budgets. That would not be possible with regard to leaf pickup. There would be fiscal consequences that would have to hit homeowners.
Nope. I know Webster
It
picks
can't
up
be absorbed.
leaf and then they mulch, grind them in their yard, and then I don't know what happens with them then. Is there, I mean, I know there's a nominal amount of money here for sale of wood chips, but, I mean, is leaf mulch something that, what do people do with it after they create leaf mulch?
Yeah, so
Municipalities.
municipalities have the luxury of hauling it to the county of Monroe, town of Charlotte, town of Greece, town of Gates. They haul it to the eco park. The county of Monroe then grinds that in windrows. They mulch it, compost it, if you will, and then they turn that material around and they give that back to residents. I am currently in discussions with the county to see if we could iron out a partnership at the DPW facility where we can compost leaves. If that would be a maximum of 5,000 cubic yards of leaves at that facility. There are consequences with grinding and mulching leaves at that facility, specifically the smell and a west wind that would hit Favara, Ganando, Eagle Ridge, which is my prime hesitance to just dive right into the leaf business with the county. But ultimately, if we did leaf pickup, I don't know if we would have the space to handle it. I don't know how many yards of, I would need a study. I just don't have the knowledge to say, you know, if we did leaf pickup in this town, we would need 10,000 yards of space, and we only have 5,000 yards at maximum at the current location, and there's impacts if you did it at that location. I don't know that.
Right.
For me, it's always gotten to the old referendum that the supervisor mentions, which was shot down handily from what I understand. And the knowledge that it would be, you know, it's fair to say millions of dollars in equipment, from compactors to, you know, the billy goats that blow, you know, and then staff. And it's the staff that is significant.
I mean, I think other towns do it kind of in that transition stage between plowing and
Right now, they do it right now, yeah, I mean,
between.
I mean, our leaves are,
road.
yeah, our leaves are falling after the holidays,
Right.
you know, so it would interfere with plowing, I believe.
But I also think that most of the communities that are still doing that have done it for a long period of time. We would have to retool. That's the only other obstacle that potentially would be in our way. Not to say that we couldn't put it out for a referendum if people wanted it, but there would be a significant cost, especially as a startup cost, because we would have to start up all over again.
I would, if we got serious about that conversation, I would likely want to sit down with several of my colleagues across the county.
Sure.
And ultimately, potentially, even find a consultant that would come in to give us an accurate assessment of what this would cost in man-hours, labor. Think of I don't want to name any firms, but a consultant that would be able to go through and, in an impartial basis, review and.
And I think especially in our town, once you get into that, you're in it for the long haul.
You're never getting,
Oh, you're never
extend a service
You'll
like
never,
that.
you talk to some of those towns that have it, they're like, we'll never, you know what I mean? You can't stop now.
We're all jealous of the towns that don't.
Yeah, they don't do it, right?
I understand your point. People
Webster
ask for
carries
it.
it as a badge of honor that they, maybe the staff doesn't like it, but I mean, they,
Webster has no sidewalks too.
Yeah, they,
Webster has a highway superintendent and a commissioner of public works. You know, Webster is, it's a very different town. They have
Yeah.
no street trees within the right of way. It's a different community. You can't, us in Webster doesn't do brush pickup. Us in the city of Rochester is a better comparison than us in the town of Webster.
I know, I'm just saying, you know, I don't say that it would be equivalent expense or endeavor in our town, but, you know, it is something that people hang their hat on. I mean, you know, we're throwing leaves in garbage bags and it's going to the landfill, you know, versus,
Our badge of honor as of late is 4 years in a row putting the most asphalt down on roadways. That's our badge of
That's
honor.
And we're not throwing any leaves in
It's
bags.
a Stanley Cup, I say. It's just, we've
Bob?
held it for years.
Quick
Sorry,
question.
Pete. I know what you're saying though, sir. I know what you mean. I'm just,
Quick question. Since I am the newbie up here, is there possible you can share the information with me, what was done as far as looking into this before, so I can have a good idea,
sure.
the cost that we're talking about?
I would have to, I'll have to find that. I don't have it readily offhand.
I don't remember even when that referendum was. It's,
John, do you know?
I'm gonna tell you when it
At
probably
least
was.
10 years ago.
Oh my God, no.
Before then, 20.
Yeah, I don't know that we can
This
even.
is I bet it was in the nineties,
Yeah, I'm not sure it'll be relevant.
maybe the early nineties. Oh, at least. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Before me, 2011?
The reason why I'm asking is because this is something that I have also heard residents bring up, and I want to be able to
2008.
address them with some facts.
Sure.
So that's why I'm asking.
I think if there's some sort of, I'm not saying it immediately, if we could just revisit the scope and scale and of what leaf collection might be. And I'm not saying, you know, maybe it's something we need to start to think about just so we have some facts and figures, because I certainly think the environment, and I don't honestly remember when we did the referendum, and I've lived here since 87, I think, or maybe it was 89, but, I can't remember the referendum
Yeah.
on the ballot, honestly, you know.
Yeah, I know, right? That's how long ago it was, right?
Look, these aren't new conversations. I've
No, I
had
know,
these
right.
conversations with Supervisor Sealy several
Yeah.
times.
Well,
These conversations will come up in the future.
Yeah.
So if it is of value to begin at least the scope and scale conversation, what dollars would be, not from 1998, but from
From
2022.
2021, yeah.
Tree City, we're looking at more
Right.
renewable energy, we're building, all this stuff, we're thinking about the environment, and we should at least have something that we could say that we looked at this and this is what the ramifications are of it.
So if we do
It's-
that, along with the financial aspect of it, we should also explore the carbon footprint behind it, because I think we'll be surprised at the difference of personal responsibility versus take care of my leaves. The carbon footprint is tremendously different.
We do require our waste haulers in town, all three of them, to send a separate truck for bagged leaves. We do require that. How much that is followed by one of our leaf vendors is another story. I do know one is very diligent in doing that. The other has been, the one leaf vendor is saying they're not doing it, and then we have to bring that garbage collection vendor in to discuss why they have to do it. But we do require that. That is a requirement.
Fortunate to have the first house that I've owned in Arundecoit that you can blow them off the
Yeah,
cliff.
you got a gully in the back, it's nice, isn't it?
And Bob, just to ask on that, I know we require they do it, do we require that they dispose of them?
They would send a separate truck, I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, they send a separate truck, but,
They send a separate truck and then
Right.
they offload that at at High Acres. For
okay,
leaf.
thank you.
Yeah.
Separately, though, it doesn't go in the landfill. It's
Thank you.
illegal for leaves to go in the landfill, just to be
Thank you.
clear.
Yes, that's why we require that.
Really? It's illegal to put leaves?
Yes, it is, absolutely. Grass clippings and leaves, and it's illegal to put that in the landfill. Yeah, can't landfill that.
We can revisit that conversation, in the solid waste budget. Within the tree program budget, we have held flat, the $75,000 in contracted services. This is the dollars that we utilize for the, cutting down of larger trees, within the town, that are too complicated or take too much time for our internal tree crews, two of them, to perform. And we also utilize half of that to plant additional trees. This year, we are already moving forward with the planting of additional street trees utilizing CDBG funds. We sent out a mailer. Aaron, how was our response on the mailer?
Extremely positive.
Yeah.
Good.
I think people, talk about being on the wait list for a long time, but I mean, I think that's because the wait list is so extensive. And I am not like a completely scientific study, but I will say that from what I recollect from before till now, the time that we take a tree down, the grind the stump, and then repair the soil, is way better than it ever had been in the past.
There is still room for improvement there.
I'm sure, but I can, because I drive by, places where the town's taking trees down, and, that whole process has been significantly improved, and I really commend whoever's paying attention to the whole thing to,
Within the last several months, it's been acting labor foreman Scott Davis who has taken the reins there, and he's done a tremendous job. Since Terry Thomas retired, Foreman Champion moved into the custodial realm to oversee that as a stopgap measure. We promoted on an acting basis Scott Davis, who's a town resident, to the position of labor foreman. He's done tremendous. I mean, Aaron primarily took tree complaints and tree calls. I can let you speak to those, but he is doing a tremendous job, and I do see that improvement with regard to time from cutting it, stumping it, grinding it, topsoil. That is still a process, and that process takes a year, and that is tough for people if you're looking at a stump. But you'd rather look at a stump than all the shavings that we're not going to get to. You'd rather look at a stump than a big hole that we're not going to be able to topsoil. So people get caught, is the wrong word, they get caught in a bad timing for work the summer months, which is very tough. And it was just years ago that the tree crew would not cut trees during the summer. They would haul asphalt. And we've done away with that. They cut trees every day. Mark Mistrella does a great job on it. But with regard to the complaints, I think you could speak better to that.
I mean, since we've brought Scott on, his attention to reaching out to the residents, Ben. And I joke about my, the angry tree people. I honestly can't remember the last one I've gotten the last. It's been tremendous. He's doing a fantastic job.
Communication is key, even if it's communicating bad news, but you have to communicate. That's
I mean,
the
some
most-
people, some people you're not saying what they want to hear, but they're grateful they're hearing it from you.
I have a quick question about the line item for conferences and training, and I'm wondering if there's the ability there to empower Mr. Davis or somebody else or a couple of people to, at some point, maybe become certified arborists?
This is like a,
Did
Put it
you
on a
like read
tee.
my mind on
Oh,
where I was at?
maybe.
So that's exactly where this came from.
Awesome.
Mr. Scott is
I've seen
extremely.
Scotty out, he was in the neighborhood the other day when I was walking between my house and my daughter's house,
Yeah.
and his demeanor and his rapport with residents is priceless, and his knowledge, whether or
yeah.
not he has the stamp, priceless.
He's working toward getting this.
That's
stamp,
excellent.
And I know I've been toying with getting the stamp too, because I just feel like that's a good arsenal to, well, what do you know? What do you know? I'm an arborist.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you know?
Excellent, thank you.
All right, let's talk highway. Highway is a levy sensitive. It is its own fund collected with Highway 3 and 4. Highway 1 is the road budget, Highway 3 is the mechanics garage, Highway 4 is snow and ice. Highway 1 has significant revenues and significant expenditures. This is the lifeblood of the department within Highway 1. In this budget, there is the indebtedness for one new dump truck. And there are increases, as you can see, within a lot of these lines for right-of-way permits at $135,000, to CHIPS, Pave New York, and the extreme weather, winter aid. All of those are increases year over year as we anticipate, this is an anticipation, that the state of New York, when they increase CHIPS, Pave New York, and extreme weather, will sustain those increases. It goes without saying, that's what we are all planning on. We are not planning on touring dollars to come back. They very well may, we just don't know. But I can't place that into this budget at this time without concrete information. State DOT can't tell us what's gonna happen. It would really be Governor Hochul's call. If that $460-something thousand comes back into the town, we will happily accept it, and we will happily pave more roads. So you'll have another resolution similar to what we just did 2 nights ago. With all of these revenues in state aid, in service to other government at $150,000, that's work we charge back to the school districts, County of Monroe, County Parks now, 3 fire districts. We continue to get more MOUs to conduct more work. That brings revenue into the town. All of those encumbrances, all of those values and dollars are all seen in several lines on page 3 of 5. On page 3 of 5, correct. Oil and stone of roads is flat this year, $360,000. That will need to grow to $480,000 in the future. That, at $480,000, we are able to surface treat the correct amount of lane miles to surface treat every road every 7 years. We need to go, we need to move in that direction. You can see that in 19, we were at 191, in 20, we were at 200, in 21, we're at 360. We took a pass this year. We have extra state aid coming in the form of CHIPS, Pave New York, and extreme weather recovery. We took a pass here. We did not put an increase in. We will likely need to make a move forward in the future to continue to make sure that we can self-sustain our oil and stoning of all of our roads. Oil and stoning meaning the surface treatment of the roads to keep those good roads, those 6, 7, 8s, and 9s, to keep them at 9 and 10, as opposed to let them deteriorate down to 2 and 3 and 4, to where we need to spend $60,000 to resurface them.
Commissioner Kiley, is that something that we can revisit partway through the year if finances are favorable?
We can, I mean, we can pay for oil and stoning out of CHIPS. We can pay for it out of touring.
cannot pay for it out of Pave New York in extreme weather. I don't think extreme is in there, right? For oil and stone?
Believe you're correct.
My point here, if we were targeting 60 lane miles next year, which is the goal, that's where we need to be. We did 48 this year. If we get to 60 next year, ultimately, we have the funds likely necessary to do that work. That would likely mean we're not getting 21,000 tons. I would not expect that the town can continue to get 21,000 tons every year. I mean, that's unheard of. I mean, towns do 10,000 tons and they're, giving each other high fives. It's an amazing feat that we accomplished. It's a great testament to Foreman Albert and working foreman Fargnoli and the rest of the guys and gals on that crew. But we certainly could, yes. I don't think that this will hamper us for next year.
Okay.
We still have significant funds through CDBG. We still have, if touring comes in, it would just, it'll make the whole.
It'll make the whole.
I think we did a 1.4 million, if not more, in roads this year. Correct me. It'll be right in that range. So, I mean,
you.
we're.
Plus you oil and stone Somerville too, Bob, which you don't see.
That was an old, yeah. I mean, the paving, if you, in your downtime, look at the paving budget from 2013, and then look at the paving budget now. And I think people will understand the amount of work being done in this town, if they don't see it on the roads. But each road is.
They only see it when it's their road,
The
Bob.
potholes at the end of their driveway, man, they don't care what happened on any other road other than their road. I get
That's
that.
right.
I very much understand. We're doing more complete streets, which means we're ripping out all of the sidewalks, all of the gutters, all of the street trees, and we're going through and replacing all of it. If you look at Lakeshore Boulevard Extension, it looks like it was just, the subdivision was just installed. That's the resources we put in with $250,000 in roads, $250,000 in drainage, and then, weeks worth of time for the tree crew. That's where we need to go, to more complete streets, complete restoration and rejuvenation of roadways. And this budget continues to make those impactful improvements to move us forward. Within this budget, you see a significant decrease in micro paving. We did $220,000 of micro paving this year. Oak Ridge Drive is one that is, for instance, that's what micro paving is. What we did to the parking lot here is micro paving. We did that because we had these extra funds from CHIPS rolling over from last year, so we internally moved these funds around because we did not have the availability to put our staff members, they're already at the maximum. So we hired a contractor, Suitcoat, to come in and do that, work on our behalf. Did hear some complaints with regard to communication from residents on their work, but weather delays are issues that really happen to us all, and then COVID delays are other issues. No other significant changes here within highway. Paving materials, the $771,239 is a direct number that reflects to the revenue. So it's money in, money out. Within Highway 3, this is the mechanics budget, maintenance garage, one piece of equipment being purchased. I believe that's in,
Yeah, the fluids flush, yes, the fluid flush machine, the transmission flush.
the $7,500, to the best of our knowledge, is a transmission flush machine. Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, I just can't recall if it's transmission or radiator flush. We could revisit that here. That's the one piece of equipment that we are seeking within the mechanics garage to purchase. There are significant decreases within vehicle commercial maintenance, and within supplies, equipment, parts. You can see that reflected on page 2 of 4 and 3 of 4. You can directly attribute this, while the mechanics are not happy with the direction. As you look at, we've expended $10,000 in a $62,000 budget, or we've expended $66,000 in a $149,000 budget. I attribute this to the vehicles not breaking down because they're sitting inside, one. Two, that we have been on every year flipping two vehicles, which that needs to continue in perpetuity. Plus, we need to start getting some of the other aging vehicles out, but if we continue, we should see decreases within some of these expenditures because our vehicles are not breaking down as fast. They're not sitting outside, they're not rusting. We're not driving 1999 Volvos anymore that has holes in the floor. Literally, when, 2014, that was the scenario we were in.
I have another quick question for you. A couple times when I've been at the highway garage, I've seen in the mechanics area vehicles from other non-traditional municipalities, which gets me excited because that makes me think that you have more cooperation and connections with people in fire departments and other places.
Absolutely, we service all of the police department vehicles for IPD. We service Seabreeze Water. We service Seabreeze Fire Department, St. Paul, Ridge Culver, Point. I can't recall, IVA, I cannot recall if Laurelton is on there.
No, I don't believe so.
Well, kudos for that. That was a pleasant
We get revenue
surprise.
for that?
Absolutely. Our rate, Rick, I cannot recall the rate offhand.
Labor rate, I think this year it was like 45 an hour,
That's awesome.
significantly less than a shop.
Less than a shop, but we're continuing to strengthen those partnerships, and I think that's very commendable. Thank you.
It is an AC flush machine.
It is an AC flush machine? The $7,500 expenditure within the 2000 series is the AC flush machine. Couldn't remember.
I thought it was AC.
You guys are certified to do.
Correct, we're yeah.
Because you're handling Freon, yeah. Awesome.
Within Highway 4, minor decreases in salt sales, just to try to get us closer to where we believe we will be. Salt will increase this year. That is not reflected within the value for the actual salt, so we will make do with what we have. It is not a significant increase. We have seen increases in the past up to 10%. It is not a 10% increase this year. It is, I believe, a 4 or 5% increase, although I don't have my sticky note is not here. But we will continue to hold flat at $345,000 for the surface treatment, which is Fire Rock. That is all of the highway fund sensitive accounts. Any questions within highway fund? There are two other funds. 1.4, 2% increase. Got it, buddy.
On salt, 2%? Nice. Thank you, Mr. Checky.
It is on tonight. We have two special districts within the town of Arundecoit. The first, depending on which is in front of you, you have Storm in front of you first. We will do Storm first then. The Storm Water Drainage District is assessed to each property in town. The sale of equipment on page 1 of 6, $20,000 is not there for next year as we anticipate the vehicle being sold. However, I do not anticipate the vehicle being sold this year because we are not able to get vehicles. Chevy has downgraded us from 3 vehicles, which we authorized, I believe, in April. No, it would have been midway through.
Feels like it was the spring, so we're not getting
It was the spring.
it.
They've downgraded us, so we will only receive 2 vehicles. And we will receive them sometime next year. We did just place a mini bid for a Ford because Chevy cannot, they don't have the chips. Likely I will be at the board next month with a Ford truck, a similar value of $36,000, and we can get that truck in 6 months. This is an issue, I think you all understand the issues we have with vehicles, but I don't anticipate seeing that $20,000 in revenue, which is something Comptroller Marsh and I have been discussing as well as Supervisor Perticone for some time now. So, long story short, we have issues, supply chain issues that are affecting us primarily. It is lighter duty and medium duty trucks. However, the order we placed for the 2 dump trucks that we still have not received, and we placed that order in January, we're hoping to receive them in December. So, fingers crossed, we don't have to plow with the 2 trucks we have now. that's ultimately the issue at hand. But we can discuss after tomorrow to talk about that 20,000 in revenue that we were anticipating. But within stormwater drainage, there is no significant increase within this budget. We have decreases in miscellaneous equipment on 2 of 6. We did bring in a contingency line. Diana, you want me to go through, or you want to go through it?
You wanna talk about it, or?
So, within the past several years, the stormwater fund balance has been robust. If this board recalls, we took stormwater fund balance for the installation and construction of the new highway department. We took storm fund balance for the purchase of another Vector truck. Through those expenditures, we've come into a bit of, concern is not the right word, but to be most conservative would be to start to rebuild the fund balance. You utilize fund balance for the acquisition of materials, supplies, or purchases that are abnormal, a vac truck at $426,000, or a DPW. And then now we are anticipating that we want to rebuild that fund balance to get us into better conformance with really where the state guidelines are. Fair enough? That's why you see a $10,000 contingency on that first line in the 4,000 series. On 3 of 6, various decreases and increases in insurance, increases and many decreases here from commercial vehicle maintenance to miscellaneous expense. It's so high up there.
It's only $6,000, but do you know what it is?
That's,
I believe it's nozzles for the, is it the nozzles?
nozzles would have been
Somewhere in the final figures, it went from 1,400 up to 6,000, Bob, so it was something within the final working after supervisor reviews. I don't know.
I don't have it either, Rick. I don't have that either.
It's not a deal breaker, but if you could just throw us a text or a note and tell us what it is.
That one could be an error. It's not in, the nozzles are in the 2000 series, so we have $8,000 for nozzles for the back truck, so that's in. I don't show an increase in my original.
I think that was one that you emailed to me, but I cannot remember the purpose, so I apologize. I will have to look that up.
Oh, let's see here. 3.8. We will figure that out. Apologize, board members.
Oh, no worries, just be nice to know what it is.
Moving on, apologize. On 4 of 6, again, minor decreases throughout from emergency main repair, cutting that in half, so that's down 2,500. Minor increases in paper products, decreases in safety supplies, decreases in tires. That rounds out the stormwater drainage district into the consolidated sewer district is the other special fund. The consolidated sewer district is much larger than the stormwater drainage district. The overall dollar value in sanitation, as it is known, is roughly $4 million, not 4,000. There are several funds within sanitation, and we will go through all 20 pages of these, 19 actually. Page 1 of 19 is associated revenue, sale of equipments. That is a zero-turn lawnmower. 2 of 19 is insurance. Judgments and claims is 3 of 19. 4 of 19 begins 8110, which is the administration of the department. There is the chargeback maintenance general, which goes back to the Operations Center budget. This is the charge, this is where the charge for Operations Center sees in the Consolidated Sewer District. The other $9,000 is shown in the Drainage District, so both districts pay into the Operations Center for the ongoing utilities for the DPW. On 5 of 19, no significant change. 6 of 19 is 8120. This is sewer maintenance.
So can you tell us about personal services, seasonal regular hours?
Yes. We are increasing the number of seasonal help that we have within the department here, while decreasing the number of seasonal help elsewhere within the budget. This year proved to us that within parks specifically, we did not need as many seasonal help within parks, so we cut seasonal help within parks. However, it did prove that we do need seasonal help within the sanitation division. So ultimately, while we took dollar value away from parks, we inserted dollar value into the Consolidated Sewer District. So these summer seasonal positions, of which I believe this funds 4, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, or 5? Whichever the number, these would be within maintenance, these would be within service, these would be within pump. So for, how many are here? 57,000? They would be within every division, 5. And that's funding for 5 seasonal employees. Did we figure out if it was at $15 an hour? It is. And that is at $15 an hour.
Excellent, thank you.
You could see within contracted services went from $60,000 to $125,000. Overall, as we reviewed the Consolidated Sewer District budget, there was significant decreases within the Consolidated Sewer budget as a whole. Ultimately, that line, contracted services, in prior years was significantly robust, up to and greater than $100,000. So within this budget, we're proposing to keep this flat, if I'm wrong, Comptroller, and as a result, we are increasing this line, which specifically is used for any sewer lateral, sewer main that would be destroyed, damaged, dilapidated, disjointed, incorrectly pitched, etc. And we did not have a CIP, a capital improvement, account that had funds available, which next year we will not.
Correct.
Those funds will be gone.
Correct.
We will have several sanitary jobs funded through ARP, but we will utilize this line for any sewer lateral breaks and fails, any sewer main emergency fails. And there is another line for sewer mains as well.
But this is really what you just said, emergency funding.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep, it's the safety net that we all need to have at home, same thing.
We do some preventative and routine, Duke's root control, we do some lining here, but, the bulk of the resource, the bulk of the dollars is earmarked for when there's a failure in the middle of St. Paul Boulevard and we have to dig the boulevard up.
Perfect.
On 7 of 19, again, minor decreases and increases. You can see supplies, manhole frames and covers is up by $5,000. That's because the cost of the frames and covers has climbed significantly through the years.
May I ask a question? We don't still purchase embossed manhole covers with the town seal, do we, sir?
We do.
Oh, my.
But they're at the same cost as
Okay.
regular.
Okay.
That is, Mr. Goldblatt, and God love him, he comes in every budget and he presents a lot of fair concepts. And I've spoken to Jeff several times through the years on these. This was one that he pounded on us for years prior to my joining the town. This is like 2012, 2013. It is at no cost because
That's awesome.
we order so many.
That's awesome. I know there was a huge cost to that at the county, so good for you. Kudos for you.
On 8 of 19, again, minor increases within supplies and tires, minor increases within work gloves.
So I have a PPE question. Are we using considerably more PPE now because of COVID? Is that a definite cost increase? And the testing and other things that we are doing at your facility, is there a sort of a cost involved for you there?
I can tackle the second one, with regard to, personnel costs. We are incurring costs associated with the ongoing COVID testing, period. That is a known.
Because it's people.
Every Thursday, we have a labor foreman there, and we have a laborer there. That has restarted within the last month, and will continue likely for some time. That cost is borne upon the town. The county is not reimbursing us as of right now. We likely could be reimbursed through other methodologies, you know.
It seems like an ARPA thing.
100%.
Yeah.
And that might be dollars back to the origin of the fund. So, if there is any other funding streams, we continue to collect all of that information and who worked when, how many hours. You know, so we do have logs and spreadsheets. The first round of relief that came through the county, I believe, March of this year.
From the county that was received last year.
Was it in 20? Either or, those dollars that came from the county of Monroe through CARES Act funding, that was it, was a direct response to our involvement through and all of the personnel tracking that we did, and the department was given to Jason. Jason pushed that off to the county of Monroe. So, from police time to
Right.
DPW staff members' time. So, you know, if we have that opportunity in the future, yes, we certainly will, and we have all of the logs and tracking to know who worked when, how many hours.
Thank you.
That really rounds out 8120, which is maintenance. 8121 is service. Within service, these are house calls to different locations. There is an equipment purchase of a sea snake at $11,000. Emergency lateral repair at $8,000, but again, we can use 8120 for those repair jobs as well. 11 of 19, supplies, furnicles, and fittings is down minor, $500. Tires is down by $500. Diana, I'm trying to locate vehicles here quickly.
Vehicles for,
Within the indebtedness. Yeah.
You gotta go to the indebtedness page.
The installed debt, right? Yeah.
Correct.
So is that 18 of
I just
19?
can't, Diane, I just can't tell which one is proposed and which one's old. On 18 or 19.
the 16,065 under the installment debt principal for the pump shop as proposed to replace vehicle 155.
The dump truck would have been 46, in that 46 range. Is that on a different line though? No, we can amend it. Well, that's why we go through these budgets. You always see different things when you go through it for the second time. So the reason I pause here at 13 of 19 and then flip all the way back to 18, as you build a budget, okay, originally we're gonna outright purchase. I know Councilman Wayner, you're very adamant to anticipate and try to outright purchase vehicles, which is something, of course, we strive to do time and time again. Ultimately, as we came down to finalizing the budget, we did not have that opportunity here. So then we pulled that back as we do with most all vehicles, where we finance it over 6 years. Similar to your car loan at a car, we do the same thing here on a municipal level. I pause here to go back because in that page 18 of 19, that's where you see that installment debt. Ultimately, what's not here, with the vehicle 155, which is the crane truck at a value of $90,000, the hoist to get the pumps out of the pump stations, has an annual indebtedness of $16,065, which is the third line in 18 of 19, a third line where it says principal installment debt, DPW pump shop. What is missing here is the value of the dump truck within the sanitation division, which holds a much higher value than a $90,000 vehicle indebted over a period of 6 years at a 5% interest. It is a $265,000 vehicle at 6 years with a 5% interest. That holds a value somewhere in the 44 to 46 range. Numbers in front of me. But what we need to do here is balance this budget, so we likely will plug in that indebtedness here to ensure that we continue to flip two vehicles, two dump trucks specifically, year over year, and likely will probably pull back in some contracted services lines to ensure that we're still flat. So we can make that happen. I just wanted to
Okay.
give an explanation to the board of,
Thank you.
you know, why I'm sitting here, what's going on here? You see the beads of sweat coming on my, five head. But that is two vehicles being purchased within sanitation. First is that vehicle 155. The second is the dump truck. The equipment shown on 13 of 19 is a zero-turn lawnmower and a small Honda inverter generator. There are some increases in contracted services in 8125, which is pumps specific. 8125 is pumps. These are the pump stations. We've done a great job in the last several years rebuilding a lot of these pump stations. Amherst is the next one on the list, I believe. We have ARPA funding for that. We've done German Village, we've done Seabreeze, Bay Village, St. Paul Boulevard is on the docket.
Somerville, and we're currently doing Foxhall.
Somerville, Foxhall, List, Cornwall. I say Cornwall. So we've done significant improvements. We have 27 pump stations and 28, thank you, 29 if you include the boat launch. We've done significant improvements over the last 8 years where we are on average replacing one pump station a year.
Yep.
The biggest one being Bay Village, which was subsidized 95 cents to the dollar. You're talking a 20-foot wet well underground. It was a significant hazard to get down there. Yes, Councilman?
Why does sewer have a mower?
Mow around the pump stations. Very good. Yes.
I'm gonna ask you to do something. Seeing that I understand this is being recorded for the residents and we keep saying ARPA, can you please say what that
American
is?
Rescue Plan.
Thank you,
Those are the dollars from the federal government. Correct.
thank you.
On 14 of 21, again, you see minor decreases in electrical supplies, landscaping supplies, minor increases in tools and hardware. It's an annual review of each budgetary line going up, going down.
What budget, wait, 14 of 21?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mine has 21 pages on this side. If I said 21, my apologies. I have two different budgets in front of me. This one's broken down into different.
I was following along and all of a sudden you threw me to
Sorry,
14
buddy.
of 21.
No, I'm on 15 of 19.
You wanted to make sure you were still awake.
Yes, exactly. The principal on bonds and indebtedness, we did come down off of some debt within sanitation, which is reflected on 16 of 19. 17 of 19 is, again, more indebtedness. And then 18 of 19 is where you will likely see some changes from the tentative to the, from the supervisor's budget to the tentative budget. That does all
Bob,
of
I have a
the
question.
consolidated sewer
I
districts.
hope
Yes.
I'm not lost because of the page. I'm on 15 of 19, and we're talking about, that's the Public Works Consolidated Sewer District budget, the workers' compensation. It has gone up. Is there a particular reason why that's gone up?
Workers' comp was originally adjusted 2021, $1,000, actual 6236.64,
Right.
$6,236.64, with the stage of 4,000 for the fiscal year of 2022.
Yeah. The way I actually plug those numbers in for Bob, so we look at outstanding claims and just basically where the employee is allocated from. So our third-party administrator, PMA, they will give us reports and they'll set reserves, which are future expected costs. And so we just attribute that depending on, you know, where in the budget it falls.
I'm just asking because it's a 300% increase. I just wanted to make sure I knew what it was for. Thank you.
Within the Department of Public Works, we do have several ancillary districts in and of themselves. Rock Beach Road, LaSalle's Landing, these, Orland, these are, and jump in, Diana, if I run aground here. These are sanitary sewer districts in and of themselves. They're part of the consolidated sewer district, but they're still paying off their indebtedness for the build-out of the sanitary sewer system on their roadways. Thus, they are districts within districts. So you can see the funds associated with each one of them and the indebtedness and the principal on the bands and bonds that they are paying. We likely will have another one next year when the Bay Shore Boulevard,
Yeah.
It'll be a separate
low
district.
pressure sewer comes online. There will be a fourth here.
Yeah, there'll be a
Orland, LaSalle's, Rock Beach, and Bay Shore Boulevard low pressure sewer.
Aaron, how many backup generators do we have for pump stations if we were to go into a long period without power?
You know, as we are rebuilding the new pump stations, we do prioritize ones where we have a backup generator on site. We do have, how many tow behinds?
We have 3 tow
Tow
behinds.
behinds. But no, it's something we are cognizant of, but ones that are on the precipice, or ones that do present on the need, if we do put in a backup generator on
Yeah, I know
site.
you covered that in a couple places where it's gonna be a permanent gas fed, yep.
Yeah, I think there's a cost of,
Yep.
benefit analysis that occurs at List, for instance, which has really flow from 7 houses. We're not gonna have one there.
No.
Because the wet well can absorb 2 weeks' worth of waste. However, Rogers, which is all of, from Burwell and
Yeah, countless homes.
it's hundreds of homes.
Yep.
You gotta have a backup generator.
Yep.
So I think that's the determination that we make there, and, the most recent pump station that we took dedication, over at I-Square, we did not require a backup generator to be constructed on site, because it was flow from 21 units as opposed to
100.
210 units. So that level of need is necessary to review.
Thank you.
I've gone over, shocker. Apologize, I went fast, I talked a lot.
Very good, Bob. Good budget. I know they worked hard to keep it to where it was.
Yep,
so.
thank you for doing that.
And we still have our services, and you,
Still doing the
Let's do a
same
little
stuff we were
better.
doing
That's-
this year, we'll do them next year.
Little meaner, a little leaner, but
Mm-hmm.
it's okay.
We still have the ability to put forth amazing projects to the town, both in parks, roads, street trees. We get creative with our funding, we'll continue to be creative.
stay on that touring money.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Thank you, board members.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. I think Jason's up, isn't he? right?
I think so.
Ready? You want me to jump right in?
Jump right in.
Wait a minute, I gotta find you, I didn't
I
tab
didn't
my
find
thing.
him here.
I promise not to
I
take
used-
2.5 hours.
I usually tab my, oh, come on.
Come on.
Frankly, I think we can do this in 2.5 minutes.
All right.
Our department's relatively small. Obviously, there's myself, personnel clerk, payroll clerk, and 2 part-time staff.
Who's doing that? Is that one?
You turn that one off.
Is that better? All right. So that staffing level does not change from year to year. I'm gonna just talk over here, I guess. So there's no staff level changes. The major change you'll see is an increase in our conference and training budget. And everything else is pretty much central services. I have a little small increase in office supplies. We've been doing more outreach, particularly with the difficulty in recruiting. So we've been going to a lot of job fairs. That's just added a small incremental cost to the office supplies. You know, your conference type materials for a job fair, a table banner we bought this year. Some more promotional materials just to promote the town of Arundequoit.
Jason, do we do any recruiting at high schools? I know there's just sort of a big lack of voc ed today in schools in general, and I wonder if we do any direct recruiting there.
Not really direct recruiting at this point. They're just on our distribution list for our job postings. But I can make an effort to reach out to them. Were there any specific questions relative to the budget?
What kind of job fairs are you going to? Just general job fairs?
This year, well, there hadn't been many in a while, right? And then the city of Rochester opened up Rock the Block. We did 3 of those, so it's directly going into the city. Different neighborhoods, they did it in each quadrant. And it would be in either a park or a vacant lot. And employers from all over the county would go there and directly contact the neighbors there. And it wasn't just, like the last one was not just a job fair, it was also community services. So you'd get a lot of people just directly in those neighborhoods. I intend to do college job fairs as well as with Rochester Works.
Any other questions? Everybody good?
Are you all set?
Thank you.
Up next, so the comptroller's budget is, going up 2.3% from 2021. It includes the auditing budget for our outside auditor. Comptroller is right before HR in your black binder, so if you were on HR, just go
Thank
one
you.
department before. Our auditing contract is with Bonadio that runs through the 2022 audit year. Our department, we have 4 staff members full-time. The only increase in the budget, a couple increases are for our maintenance copier. We have one copier in the department that we utilize and we share with HR supervisor. So we split the cost of that. The other increase is in office supplies. That is just for general office supplies. We are still purchasing paper purchase orders, check stock, Micker ink. With upgrading the financial system, we're hoping in the 2023 budget that these may decrease because we will need less paper purchase orders, possibly less check stock, as we'll be able to offer ACH payments to vendors. That'll reduce the cost of Micker ink.
That's awesome.
So hopefully, moving forward, these costs will come down. Any questions on the comptroller?
No, thank you for a tight budget.
We have unallocated on here to discuss. The unallocated budgets are the general revenues and general expenses for the town. Those are just a few departments before. With the revenues, the unallocated revenues include sales tax, mortgage tax, franchise tax, state aid. We're estimating a 13% increase in the revenues. The primary source of the increase is in sales tax. We have looked at our receipts to date this year. We have had conversations with the county, and we are comfortable with the estimate we put in, which is an 11% increase over the 2019 receipts that we have. Again, that's based on conversations with the county and expectations. No other huge changes in the unallocated revenue. The unallocated expenditures are also going up about 13%. The big piece here for the big reason here for the increase is the insurance premium. The unallocated insurance, I think Rick just left. Rick does more with the insurance than I do. This is our general liability to the town.
Okay.
It's the general insurance for the town. A lot of the insurance is broken down to departments for the vehicles, and with this is just general town insurance, which is estimated to go up based on conversations with our insurance. The other things in here, there's taxes. I know Peter asked about those. Those are taxes on the town-owned properties. We own a lot of vacant lands throughout, the sewer pumps, the town hall built campus. Not a whole lot there. Any questions on the unallocated? And then also with lighting, which is at the beginning. The lighting districts, we have the one townwide lighting district, which is actually decreasing slightly this year as we decrease the contracted services, which are for like repairs and stuff. We haven't utilized it in the past, so I've decreased that. We also have the 28 lighting districts. Those budgets are comparable to the prior year. Some of those funds have fund balances available, so we are utilizing those fund balances at a slow pace to kind of keep the rates kind of level instead of big decreases or increase, big shifts in the special assessments for those districts.
And those are individualized line items that show up on people's tax bills, should they be looking for them.
Correct. Any questions on lighting? Next I have the attorney. I don't know if John wants to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, those rates are staying relatively flat. Right, it's the attorney for the town, and then obviously the planning and zoning board attorney on there.
And the last ones we have for tonight are the supervisor and the town board. Which are if you were at your unallocated revenue, it's right behind your unallocated expenditures in your black book. It's town board and,
Town board or supervisor?
sorry?
Town board first, right?
Town board? Okay. Town board is a pretty flat budget from year to year. There's not a whole lot in there. If there's any questions,
What's the training cost?
we put training in case a town board member.
Every year there's
opted
that
to-
training.
to
If
do
there's,
some training.
there is opportunities
Oh,
to.
I just saw
There are
the
opportunities.
increase in it, gotcha.
We are not raising our salaries, right?
No,
Not in
it
here,
is
no.
not proposed.
No.
When I look at that too, and I know a lot of people don't, our package is pretty good, what we have for a package, especially if you're on the healthcare and you get paid, and then we get a pension contribution as well too, right, Jay? I think if you look at it, It starts out at 12.6, whatever it is, but I think depending on what, healthcare you're in and that, you could be, we're up over $30,000 a year, right? 35 maybe, depending on where you are with the health and that, so. To me, I think that's a pretty good package.
No, I didn't wanna.
No, I'm just saying, it's a pretty good package. You know, people always say, well, you make 12, well, yeah, but you know, if you take the health care and that, we got a pretty decent package. So that's what I look at, and I think it is a good package, for us. And I'm grateful for it. So, we're good with that one? And then in the supervisor's budget, I did put an increase for the supervisor. I think it's a time to do it. It's not self-serving or anything, you know?
That's a good idea, John.
I think they deserve, supervisors of Aronicoy deserve a little more. I think it's probably, Jay, in the mid-90s now? What are we looking at?
2021 is 90,203,
Okay,
be increased by $5,000.
okay, so 90, almost 96,000. And I believe still that's a little bit light, if you ask me,
Compared to what other town
compared
supervisors
to what other
make.
town. I look at the size of our
Yep.
budget and size of our town, you know, and I know 5, 6, it's, you know, that's something that can be discussed, but I think for me personally, there's a time to do it. It's not self-serving for me,
I think that's a
John-
great idea.
you know?
John, I understand, what you're saying.
Yeah.
I understand your point of view. I just would have liked to have known it before today.
Well, did you read the it was in the
I
budget?
read the budget, but
If you read the budget,
it says salary.
yeah.
And I also have a question about the staff summary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking that there is a total for 2001 of 3, and that's not quite accurate. There is what's missing from the summary is a part-time level 4 clerk that is the administrative assistant for eye care,
Okay.
which was hired this March.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that reflected.
No, it's not in the budget this year.
No, I'm talking about it's not reflected as a.
Oh,
staff
last
member
year.
for 2000, for this year, for 2021. And I,
For 2021, it's not reflected in there?
no, it's not reflected
It
as a
wasn't
part-time.
budgeted originally. The numbers reflected in the budget are the original budgets. So
So-
in.
But
Okay, so
that's-
this was all, because it came after the
so
budget
any
was approved?
Positions after are not included.
So this position is not listed here as a position, even though we awarded the money this year. It's not listed as a position for the supervisor's
For the
office.
2021 budget year,
Yes.
it wasn't in the budget when the budget was adopted in November of 2020.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is in the staff summary, we're not listing that person as someone who actually is a part of the supervisor's office. That's what I'm asking.
Where's the staff summary?
Well,
The staff summary is in
In the
the
green book.
green binder.
no, that's a correct statement, but I
That's
think
and that's on page 65.
what Diana is saying is the numbers that we put in the budget are, prior year funded
No.
and then moving into the next year
No, I
funded.
understand that. What I'm talking about as we're looking at the summary, it looks as though, that position is not there.
Well, that could go for other departments, I'm assuming, right? It's not just here, it's other departments, right? If you hire after the fact, does it add on?
The staff summary printed is what the town board adopted for the
adopted
year.
last year.
So in 2021, the positions shown under 2021 are the positions the town board approved for the 2021 budget. If positions were added in 2021, they will not be reflected as a 2021 position because it was not part of the original budget.
Okay, and then I'm seeing it's not listed for 2022 either.
No, because it's not in the budget this year.
And why is it not in the budget? The administrative, part-time administrative assistant.
Is not in the budget
Clerk number
this year.
4, for the Arundecoit Commission Advancing Racial Equity, or the Eye Care Commission, is not going to be funded for next year?
No, it's not.
And has the employee been told?
No, not yet. We haven't approved the budget yet.
And I'm just finding that out today?
If you read the budget, you'd see it
I
wasn't in
read the
there.
budget, I wouldn't know if she was in.
Well, I'm gonna tell you why you don't know, okay? I tried to get you in my office if you recall, to talk about this.
No,
And
you
you,
didn't
yes,
give
you
me an
told me,
office to talk
I'm not
about.
gonna get into this
John,
now. You told me I will not meet with
I'm
you.
gonna stick with what's on the paper.
I know, well, I'm telling you, you wanted to know why you don't know. I would've told you then, but you didn't wanna meet with me.
So there was no email, no nothing?
Not
from
now,
you?
the budget isn't approved yet.
Before that, there's no email?
No.
There's no correspondence
No.
with me? Okay, I just wanted to know
Yeah.
that. So I just want the records to reflect that the I-CARE Administrative Assistant for the Arundecoit Advancing Racial Equity Commission has been eliminated.
Eliminated,
In
correct,
the next year's budget.
correct.
And that someone will be contacting the employee.
Yes, I will contact her.
And then I will get it in writing that it's been.
You need it in writing, you're hearing it right here.
No, I need it in writing, in an email. If I have to respond back to emails in writing to say that I received them, then I would like to have emails written.
Maybe that's
Say
an
it
HR
is.
thing.
Okay. Any other questions?
And also wanted to reflect that we still need that support. Because we have a commission and there's no full-time person assigned to it, and everyone is doing that work volunteer. So the employee's work is still needed. We still need that support.
So there's, yes, I imagine you do, but there's probably ways that some other people can do her support, can do the work.
All right,
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure I understood it and I had the facts and that
Okay.
it's presented so that the community will have the facts as well.
the community will what?
That the community will have the facts as well, John.
Okay. Tell them she's not in the budget this year, the position is not in the budget this year.
Okay.
Any other questions? All set? Anything? Okay, the next, you got a list of what's going on next, right?
Yep.
For next week, Tuesday, we meet on the cannabis, and then right after that, at 5:30, we start, the budgets on, the remainder of the departments. Okay with that? I need a motion to adjourn.
Moved?
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?